Welcome back to Resistance Chicks. We're your hosts, Leah and Michelle. Today is the 29th, right? Yes, of November 2020. We're live here on our Resistance Chicks channel because we have had a second copyright strike. Community guideline strike, which they didn't even give me any kind of this is why reason. Usually they tell you it's bullying or harassment or violence or something bogus. And this time it was just an interview that we did with Millie Weaver. Yep. Just
on feminism.
On feminism, on being a feminine, wholesome, woman. And we actually have a warning now on this channel on Resistance Chicks, which means if we get a strike here, we won't be able to go live for a week on this channel.
So guys, you have to, okay, so far we're not getting warnings or strikes on going live on our Facebook page. Go right now, wherever you're at.
Now.
If you don't have a Facebook, get one just to watch our show.
That's what I told them earlier.
We will be there. If you don't, Twitter has not been censoring us except for throttling us. You will find us on Twitter, okay? You will definitely find us on Parler. Whatever live stream we're doing, we will be going live somewhere, whether it's through Rumble, through our own website. We will be bringing you a channel, even if it's like Radio USA at the end of the apocalypse and you hear somebody on the radio, you're clicking the radio. If anyone can hear this message, if anyone can hear this message, we will be getting the message out to you somehow, some way. As long as there is a fight to be had, we are going to be in this fight. But you've got to be able to find us on these other places. So whatever you're doing, go to Facebook, find us. We're just Resistance Chicks on Facebook. Find me, Resistance Chicks without the K on Twitter. And definitely, above all else, Parler right now is the place to be. Find Masfaith3, Michelle Svensson, and Resistance Chicks, me, Leah Svensson, on Parler, and we will tweet out wherever we're going live from. We just need a capacity to get it out, and you guys would be able to find us. We want you to find us. We enjoy bringing you the shows.
Patriot Gallery has her own channel created by Divine Design, and it says Masfaith3 in it. Okay,
right.
So I haven't figured out how to go live on there yet. I should be able to. That's on YouTube.
I think we can upload the videos there.
But we can definitely upload the videos there. So I know there are a handful of you that are subscribed there. Everyone else needs to go there too.
Well, I think you have to have so many subscribers and so many videos to be able to go live.
Well, it says that she should be able to go live. Okay. So I'm still working on that one.
Created by Divine Design. All right, guys. A lot going on today.
Going to be a great show, by the way.
I want to. Yeah,
share
it's going to be.
I'm sharing it right now.
Share it. There's a lot going on, some major protests, a lot of bucking the system in the UK. I love to see it. There was some protests in France this week because the French government wants to make it illegal for them for protesters to film police officers. Now, that is a very dangerous precedent. So I would definitely be in the street protesting, not being able to, because French police, they are brutal. You think, it's so funny because black people come out to protest police brutality in the U.S., but like French police are brutal.
Yeah.
However, 61 French people give as good as they get. 61 officers in France were injured. Boris Johnson trying to keep the freedom-loving spirit in the UK down. I believe that you guys are less compliant than we are here in the United States, and I think that that's a good thing. I also think it's because you're smaller, and that your lockdowns are harsher. And so you're just bucking them because it's just like, this doesn't make sense to me.
Oh, it's so ridiculous.
This doesn't make sense to me. This is what really doesn't make sense, and we're going to cover the election. We've got Donald Trump's interview with Maria Bartiromo coming up at the second part of the show today. So during Christmas, they have put out guidelines, and I'm going to tell you why they've done these guidelines. No hugging, no caroling, or playing Monopoly or on COVID Christmas, says government advisors. I read a little story on Twitter yesterday, and it was a woman. She was at the vet, and there was a man. There were other people at this veterinarian's office, and there was a man who was just hunched over, just uncontrollably sobbing. His dog had died. This was recent, okay, during COVID time, and onlookers looked at him and they said, "What do you do?" And so she went up to him and she said, "Sir, I know there's really nothing I can do, but is there anything I can do?" Basically, and he said, "Could you just touch me?"
Wow.
During COVID, she puts her hand on his shoulder, and immediately this calm comes over him, and the uncontrollable sobs immediately subside. So she begins to ask him about the dog. He had had 9 seizures on the way and died in the car, I believe, and he was 4 years old, like a little some sort of mixed pit bull or mix or something like that. And do you have anybody at home for you? And yes, he has a wife at home with the other dog. What about your family? He has a son and a grandbaby. And she's like, well, you have a lot of love to give. So she's pouring into him. I know this is not going to help right now, but there's more to life type stuff.
Yeah.
And she said, with this COVID thing, we cannot lose our humanity.
No.
And we have lost our humanity. When we're looking at people with these masks, we've lost our humanity. We're saying, I'm scared of you and you should be scared of me.
Right.
Okay, this isn't the doctor's office. This isn't, doctors wear masks so that they don't spit into your wound, basically. Right. But if a doctor just comes in to see you, even if you're sick, they don't wear masks. Like, even if you've had, like, if I've been to the doctor for the flu or something, a doctor comes in, they're not wearing a mask.
Right.
They're not, the masks are not
right.
designed.
And it's shocking to me, like, in the height of flu season, I remember taking my uncle to the doctor for the past, 10, 12, 15, however long it's been. It's like 17 years. And every time I take him to the doctor in flu season, it's shocking to me that these nurses and these doctors continue to come in every day.
Yeah, right.
And they continue to see all these patients, and never once are they wearing masks.
A waiting room full of sick people. You see the snot just running out their nose, right? Full of sick people. And I've never seen a doctor wear a mask because they know that viruses will just go straight through masks.
Exactly.
They never ask you to wear a mask because they know masks go straight through. Viruses go straight through masks. So it's during surgeries and during where there's splashing, okay? Because we have bacteria.
Yeah.
You see that's a difference here? The masks are actually designed to keep bacteria out of wounds.
Right.
Because we know that is spread. It's not just spread in the air. Bacteria isn't necessarily just spread in the air. It's spread through huge spit droplets or whatever, or snot or whatever. And so it's not really to keep the viruses away.
Right.
Because they know masks don't keep viruses away.
Right.
So with that in mind, when this article comes out and says Britain should avoid gathering around the Monopoly board, singing with family members, hugging loved ones during Christmas season, and what they want to do is they want to have your grandmom sit next to the open window. So that's going to be real comfortable. Grandma always gets cold, right? But they want to shove grandma and grandpa near the open window. Why? So they go home sooner, right? Open the window. Okay, I get it. I like being outside. I think outdoors is great, okay? But grandma doesn't need to be near your open window.
Oh,
grandma
my
can be
gosh.
warm. Wrap grandma in a blanket. Put her near the fire, okay? Hug your grandma. You don't know how long your grandma's going to be around, and last thing you want to think to yourself is, well, I tried to save my grandma even though I had no symptoms whatsoever, and no one had any symptoms whatsoever, so I decided I wouldn't save my grandma by not hugging her. I'm going to tell you something. If you're in a room with your grandma, it don't matter if you hugging her or you're breathing.
Exactly.
It just gets into the room. I've seen y'all's rooms in the UK. They're all teeny tiny. Okay? It doesn't matter whether you're like 5 feet away or you're hugging your grandma. Hug her then. Just hug her. Because you know what happens?
Love, life.
When you hug people, even though sisters don't normally do this.
We don't.
Other people actually get love from that.
Right.
There's a little caveat there. If you haven't seen them for a while, then you might hug your siblings. So
here's my argument, because I know the argument that's
and they don't want you singing Christmas carols. I'll tell you why.
The argument that's being made is that it's far better to not hug them and let them live, okay, than to hug them and then they die and you killed grandma. All right, but they've never said that before about flu,
right?
And if you're looking at the rates right now, okay,
death rates
we're at the exact same thing. So why now? It's for a reason. They are trying to dehumanize us. They are trying to strip us down.
And make us afraid of each other.
These are mind games that they have historically played when they are trying to subvert and rule over people. Look
Right.
at what they did to the Jews. They dehumanize them. They strip you down of your humanity.
That's exactly what it is. A stripping of humanity. And they don't want you singing carols and stuff in your house. And it's always with a bit of truth. Satan took Jesus up to the mountain, and there was always a bit of truth.
Yeah.
God, throw yourself off the mountain. The Bible says the angels will pick you up, on angels' wings. And he's like, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. So there's a little bit of truth in the fact that if the more people mix, the more viruses spread. We know that. I usually,
it's a risk that we take.
I know that in the wintertime, if I'm around like kids are usually the ones who get sick.
I think about it every single year that our family members come over for Christmas. I'm honest, okay? I use my essential oils. I've got diffusers running. I'm washing my hands constantly. I'm not really trying to get up in their faces if they're sniffly.
Right.
Okay? But if they are sniffly, you know what? I'm still going to play Uno with them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're going to pass those cards, and I'm just going to wash my hands and pray.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these are things. This is called life.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go back. We said this. We talked about this months ago, and I'm going to bring it back up again. Okay? Every single one of these people better be on the bandwagon to get rid of cars. Every last one of them.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it is not worth the risk, because cars kill more people than almost heart disease.
Yeah.
All right? Cars are not worth the risk. Okay, people,
every year.
Raise your hand if you know someone that has died in a car wreck and their life was ended prematurely. Now, raise your hand if you know someone that has died of coronavirus personally.
Right.
Are cars worth the risk? We decide as humanity. Patriotism would say that they're not, but at least she's honest. These people are not being honest. It is not about whether it's worth the risk or not. This is all about control.
So this is what I'm going to tell you to do. They want you no more than 3 households. And what's very interesting, so they're like, no more than 3 households. That could be 18 people or it could be 4 people. Well, that's stupid.
Right.
You guys aren't making any sense. People aren't going to follow you if you're not making any sense.
Right.
All right. So I say sing your heart out, because what they don't want you to do is sing those Christmas carols, because everybody knows
there's a power
you're
of
going
God
into the shopping. That's why they don't want you in the shopping centers either, because they're playing Christmas music, and the power of God hits at Christmas. And when we turn our eyes to Jesus, then that opens the door to heaven to move.
And I have good news for you guys. We now can sing Christmas carols at the end of our show for the next 4 weeks. So we will be doing that. Stay tuned. Britt Baza says, Michelle, the UK has at least 5 Nightingale hospitals set up for COVID-19, and they're empty. We have the military standing by, twiddling their thumbs, and COVID-19 cases are falling in the UK. Only 15,000 in the hospital. Yep. And so here's the deal. We're talking about their insanity. I got good news for you. Christmas is not canceled.
Right.
You can get together with your family.
Sing,
not worry about it. Okay?
Sing. Boris government warns Brexit talks are in their last week. So say your prayers for Brexit. Britain's foreign minister said Sunday there is only about 1 week left for the UK and the EU to strike a post-Brexit trade deal. Guys, I think that God's hand is on this. So if you're in the UK, if you're praying,
What? Mama McCoy says the Walmart in Winnipeg, should say this in my Canadian accent, entire sections of non-essential. It's anything Christmas. They wardened off Christmas decorations.
That's so funny.
In Canada.
Oh my gosh. Here's the thing.
That's tyranny, eh?
Here's the thing. The same thing that's happening in the UK, it's happening all over the world. The devil wants to cancel Christmas. Who has seen The Grinch Who Stole Christmas? It is only and ever the Grinch and the devil who want to steal Christmas. And they're packaging it up in a way as to not keep your eyes on Jesus. So what you have to do is turn your eyes to Jesus. Look to the baby in the manger. Look to him as the savior of the universe to break all tyranny. Because you know what? When you're singing those songs, and we're going to sing some at the end here, they break tyranny. Jesus came to break tyranny, okay? And somehow God is putting a stop here. I'm recognizing this with Boris Johnson. He wants a deal, but it's not being hammered out. And if you guys get a no deal, that is the best thing for you.
Yes.
Okay, so you in the UK, I want you to do something. I know may not have thought about this, but I was thinking about this all morning for you guys.
Aww.
Nigel Farage, the one thing he's missing, he is so powerful. He's filled with passion, and he's witty, and he's smart, and he knows what's right. And I believe that he goes along with Christian principles. But you need to be relying upon the power of God, because the EU represents the globalists who represent the Great Reset and 2030, okay?
And the devil.
I believe that God is moving on the UK to separate you, because somehow, some way, you guys have Christians who are praying. I don't know where they are. All 5 of them watch our show. Okay. No, you have some Christianity, but it's very lukewarm and watered down. And you need to have the power of God. You need to have the love of God, and you need to know the power that you have. Okay. You go before God. You say, Jesus, I know that you died and you rose again because you want to bring justice. This EU government is not bringing justice. They started, they were formed from the Nazis. And I want to teach you quickly spiritual battle. You say to the EU, peace be still. It's a mountain, it's a storm, and you go into it and you use your spiritual weapons, and you say, I bind you, Satan. I gag you, Satan. I plead the blood of Jesus over my whole little island here. Okay? I ask for angels to be around here. I ask for angels to be in the room where those deals are being made. I curse the EU in the name of Jesus. I command it to fall in the name of Jesus. I command tyranny to be loosed in the name of Jesus. Read Isaiah 61 over your country. Read Psalm 91 over your country. And when you begin to do this, it only takes a handful of Christians, just 1 or 2 of you, begin to read these powerful scriptures. Psalm 60, Psalm 91, Psalm 35, Psalm 23. Begin to read the powerful scriptures over your country, and so that you can be free, because God obviously has anointed people like Nigel Farage and a lot of these men and women to stand up against this tyranny. But the only way you seal the deal is with the blood of Jesus. The only way you can make true covenants is with the blood of Jesus. They got you this far. Only the Christians in the UK and around the world are going to get you over the finish line. And you are watching me, and I know you're in the UK. And what I want you to do is I want you to pray, and I want you to get on your knees, and I want you to open your Bible, and I want you to say, God, what do you want me to pray over my country? How do you want me to attack this in the spiritual realm? Because that is the devil over there keeping us tied to the EU, not Angela Merkel, not Guy Verhofstadt. It is Satan himself working through these people. You wrestle not with flesh and blood, but rulers and principalities in high places. So when you see the spiritual world happening, Poland's already doing it. Hungary's already doing it.
Yeah,
you just need to do what they're doing. And I tell you, Matteo Salvini in his own way is doing it. He's attacking it the right way. Okay? You got to attack it to that next level Christianity, where you recognize you have all the power, you have all the keys, but it may not appear that way, because if you have keys, but you don't put them into the door, you can't open the door, and then you blame God that the door is not open. He's given you all the tools, but you have to open the door and use them to open the door.
You know what I love is when you go off on these church rants right in the middle of the news. Because our show is pretty much church news.
There is only one way for Brexit to work out. So I very rarely have been doing this, but I realized today, if you want Brexit to take it over the finish line, you're Christians in the UK, you're going to have to do it. Okay, and I want it to go over the internet. If I've been covering this for 4 years, I want to see this over the finish line, but it's not my country. Okay, I can pray for you, I can lift you up, but it has to come from within you. In the UK, you have to stand up. You have to tell the devil no, because you have the standing. Because I've never been to the UK. I've never put my feet there. Okay, sing Jerusalem, whatever you want to do. All right? Okay. But you have your feet there. Wherever you put your feet is your land. It is your land, and you only can take it back. I can lift you up in prayer, and I do, but you got to get in there. Okay, so as talks continue between the two sides, in London, Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab said, I think that we are into the last week or so of substantive negotiations. Stop those negotiations. In the name of Jesus, just say WTO, WTO. Say, I pray that these negotiations do not work. They do not go through. Something happens. Put the wrench in the spoke. So Dominic Raab told Sky News that there's a deal to be done, and I don't think there should be a deal. That's just my own gut feeling. He said the two sides have made progress on level playing field issues. The standards the UK must meet to export into the EU. The biggest hurdle appears to be fish. You know what? Jesus got 12 disciples, and a good portion of them were fishermen. And the fishermen are holding the line.
Yeah.
Get it?
That's good. Holding the line. I got that.
A small part of the economy with an outsized symbolic importance for Europe's maritime nations. EU countries want their boats to be able to keep fishing in British waters, while the UK insists it must control access to the quotas. On fisheries, there is a point of principle. As we leave the transition, we are an independent coastal state, and we've got to be able to control our waters. Chief negotiator Michael Barnier, who met through the weekend with the UK counterpart, has said that there are still significant divergences. If there's no deal, the New Year's Day will bring a huge disruption with the overnight imposition of tariffs and other barriers to the UK EU trade. Guys, they just fairmongers. These people, they have contingency plans in place. They just don't want you to know.
That's true.
They just don't want you to know. All right. Darth Vader is dead.
Oh, wow.
And he was actually a British weightlifter. He passed away yesterday at 85. His name is David Prowse. And David Prowse, the British weightlifter turned actor who played Darth Vader in the original Star Wars trilogy, has died. And let me see if I can find, I have... No.
I just really like doing that.
That's not what I want. Where's Darth?
Raise your hand if you're a Star Wars fanatic. Leah's hand's not raised, and so she's lying. There we go.
I'm trying to find Darth. There's a video Barry sent me. Here we go.
Super baddie Darth Vader up to no good.
Oh wait, your volume's not on.
Oh, it was on. Must have turned off.
Well, it just dies. It has its time. It has like a timeout thing.
So I guess he is in the people's hearts there in the UK. He was once a child show TV hero.
Nice. So what says he was really tall? There we go.
Super baddie Darth Vader up to no good at all, again in The Empire Strikes Back. David Prowse, how did a West Country boy get to be one of the nastiest men in the galaxy?
It's amazing, isn't it? I was sat at home one day and I got a phone call from my agent saying, can I go and see George Lucas? And I went up to the 20th Century Fox office and George said, look, I'm making this film which is sort of space fantasy, and I've got 2 parts I'd like you to consider. And I said, well, tell me what they are. And he said, well, the first part's a part of a character called Chewbacca. And I turned my nose up. I thought, well, I don't fancy 3 months in a gorilla skin. I said, what's the other one? And he said, well, the other one's the big villain of the film. I said, say no more, George, I'll take it. And he said, well, you would never regret this decision. And this is the result.
Start tearing this ship apart piece by piece until you find those tapes. Find the passengers of this vessel. I want them alive.
Since 1976, George Lucas gave David Prowse a role that would become the biggest movie villain in history.
But you never saw him. I mean, even at the end of the film,
This station is now the ultimate
helmet comes off. It's not David Prowse's face that you see.
Right.
power in the universe.
You just wanted
I
his body.
suggest we use it.
Don't be too proud of this technological tower you've constructed. The ability to destroy a planet is insignificant next to the power.
So he had a thick Cornish accent. So he gave the lines,
I love it.
and then James Earl Jones gave the lines.
I know that must be kind of sad though.
Of films.
That your
Don't
voice
try to
isn't
frighten us
enough.
with your sorcerer's ways, Lord Vader.
I find your quite disturbing.
I think that we have a clip of the new Star Wars movie here. What's it called?
It's called The Empire Strikes Back.
And I'm sure you're absolutely terrific.
I'm not sure I want to install that I always cry when Vader in the end became good.
His role in Return of the Jedi was vastly reduced, giving away spoilers to the sequel in interviews.
Oops.
And he carried on meeting fans at let you know a big British star has passed away. So, all right, Scottish fishermen in the EU say that the EU is like a bully who steals your lunch and expects you to be grateful when a few crumbs come back. Scottish fisherman has slammed the EU behaving like the bully who steals your lunch every day and expects you to be grateful for a few crumbs he hands back as it continues to push for control of Britain's fisheries. It looks like the EU currently doles out more than half of the fishery stocks to other EU member states, Britain leaving the bloc beginning 2020. It looks like the survivors of those who fisheries have looked forward to regaining their lost fisheries over the vote leave, have been pressuring the British government. Maybe, just maybe, they are at last waking up to the smell of fish. They have made a small offer to give us a paltry extra share. It could be less than 10% of the total catch of the fish of which we are now the legal owner. It is the bully who steals your lunch every day and gives you some crumbs back. McDonald insisted the government must not give in to EU demands for control over British fisheries as in effect the ransom for a trade deal, saying they should be told that they can kiss goodbye any fisheries deal and face the consequences. No access to our waters. So Britain has already agreed to pay an exorbitant sum of money towards the EU's budget in an effort of goodwill. And then Nigel Farage has previously said the fisheries will be the acid test for Brexit. Have we got back our territorial waters? Are we like Norway, Iceland, and Farage? What is Farage?
That's a good
Farage.
question.
Where is that? What is that, guys? Are we in control again? If not, he suggested true Brexit will not have been achieved. I stand with the fishermen. I do.
You know, it's really interesting because we live such an insulated life here in the United States that honestly, your fishing waters are not on the minds of any single Americans.
Yeah.
And it's huge.
It is.
Any single American.
It is.
I can speak. It's huge to you guys over there. We don't ever think twice about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, this is not something you guys think about it a lot.
Yeah. Fish and chips. So these are sad little letters from French children to Father Christmas.
Oh no.
Yeah, this is I want to read some of these because they just showcase the harmful child abuse that they're doing to these children. Father Christmas, if the coronavirus allows it, would it be possible to drop in the night of the 24th? We will put out cake for you and carrots for the reindeer.
Oh
I hope you are well. I hope your elves and you aren't infected.
Stop it.
I want this epidemic to stop so I can see my family without fear.
Oh my God.
I want to meet you, but we can't because there's a virus. This is like, here's the thing, guys. This is what you would act like if we were living in one of those movies where everybody you looked at somebody and then they got sick and blood started to come out of their eyes.
No, which it's not outside the realm of possibilities. Like Ebola killed pretty high rate, pretty scary disease.
But now we've got some treatments for even Ebola.
Okay, I'm just saying, like, if everybody started getting Ebola where you drop like flies, all of these measures would make sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, except for it wouldn't be cloth masks that we would be wearing.
It'd
okay,
be full body
we would
suits.
be like full body suits. It would be the Darth Vader. Thing.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
That's what we would be wearing.
Right.
And you wouldn't ever leave your house, and the economy would have to shut down, and you wouldn't hug grandma.
Right.
Right? We're talking about something that's like the flu here.
Yeah.
It's still bad. The flu kills people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? I mean, the flu is not anything. There's a reason why everybody gets vaccines for it every year. It's not anything to be laughed at. But it's still not worth halting society over.
I didn't put
French kids.
I didn't put many toys on my list. I understand this year is difficult with the virus. P.S. I broke my arm.
Oh my gosh.
I'm going to be turning 6, but I won't be able to celebrate my birthday because of the sick people. Even with the sickness, I hope to see you because I want to give you a hug and a kiss. I would like a brother and a little sister, and I have a fish and a frog. Don't forget your lockdown pass and your mask so you aren't fined.
These cannot be real letters.
Well, that was somebody's 854, but the rest were kids. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Jim
So-
West says the pro EU people tell us. There's a typo there. I want to make sure I'm reading it right. Tell us why. We need to fight hard to keep the UK fishing, as it's not a big deal yet. The EU are willing to scrap an entire 95% complete free trade deal over. Okay, so they're telling you it's not a big deal. Why fight hard? I get it. They say why fight hard to keep the UK fishing water? It's not a big deal. But they're like literally willing to scrap an entire 95 complete free trade deal just over those fishing waters. So if it wasn't a big deal, then why would they be willing to do that?
So George Stinky Clooney has stuck his head out into politics
Again?
and he mentions Viktor Orban, and the Hungarian Viktor Orban doesn't. They're not real happy about being called out by a billionaire. I don't even know how much they have now. Hungarian politicians and conservative journalists slams George Clooney as an imbecile who could not find their country on a map after he suggested the country's prime minister spreads anger and hate. These people are the ones who spread anger and hate, by the way.
You don't mess with Viktor Orban. You don't do that.
Speaking ahead of the release of a new post-apocalyptic film on Netflix, Clooney 59 had said that we weren't in the middle of a pandemic when making the film, but there were still all these other elements, these elements of how much hate and anger all of us are experiencing in this moment of history all over the world. Go to Javier Bolsonaro in Brazil or Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Hungary. Look around, lots of anger and hate. The film takes place in 2049. If you played it out, this could very well be our reality if this kind of hate is allowed to fester. You know what? Go to Hungary and go to Poland. They're actually happy, joyful, loving, kind people. And for you to throw them under the bus while Antifa and BLM are on the streets breaking windows, you're insane.
Isn't it George Clooney and his dad who are Holocaust deniers?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure they are. His dad has been in politics forever. His family,
No.
a little bit. No, I think
No,
they
I
are.
thought that
Somebody
was Mel
can-
Gibson.
Is it?
Yeah.
No,
Mel Gibson said it's all the Jews.
Somebody can correct me on that. But either way, their family's kind of local to Cincinnati. They live in a town, or they're from a town called Maysville down in Kentucky. And they can literally be seen down there, like George Clooney and his dad and the whole family.
Well, he made a film about the Armenian genocide, so that's good. But like, yeah, with this, he's just tagging along with the leftist line. The remarks were poorly received in Hungary, where Orban's anti-mass migration and multiculturalism Fidesz party enjoys huge public support, with Hungarian politicians branding the actor as an imbecile, and according to the Times, suggesting that he could not find Hungary on a map, even with technological help. The Hungarian government's official spokesmen were slightly more tactful, with Tamás Mincer of the country's foreign ministry saying Clooney should be respected as an actor, but that his words on Hungarian politics are foolish and nobody should treat him like a global political oracle. Let's just say Viktor Orban doesn't have sleepless nights because George Clooney talks nonsense about him.
Thank you.
Ors Farkas, a spokesman for the country's government information center, was clear on where he believed Clooney's comments were coming from. There have been a dispute. There's been a dispute between George Soros and the Hungarian government over immigration for years. So George Soros uses every opportunity to attack the Hungarian government. It is quite frustrating that there are actors, even non-political actors, who carry out such political intent for George Soros. Tamás Dush, a founder member of the Fidesz and an elected member of the European Parliament and MEP, was more straightforward, dismissing the actor as an American imposter talking BS about our homeland.
It's almost like in all of everything that represents anything important, George Clooney's like this tiny little scrawny man, and Viktor Orban is like this big bad dude on the right that's like got like all these medals. Like this is like for a visual. I mean, there's no comparison.
This is the irony. I would be ashamed not to speak out publicly against the kind of authoritarianism with which the Orban regime controls the media, subjects companies to draconian tax rules, and silences the free press. Ironically, in a statement published by the independent Hungarian news outlet Telex, supposedly his wife Amal Clooney is a Lebanese human rights activist with dual British citizenship, and the fact that we are being silenced on a minutely basis here in America, and George Clooney doesn't recognize that he is part of this big tech
Oh, I'm sure he
media
knows.
monopoly.
I'm sure
and
he
it's
knows.
okay. Here's the thing. It's okay to silence our views when we talk against feminism.
Right.
It's okay to talk about it's okay to silence our views when we say that, Kyle Rittenhouse might have acted in self-defense.
Right.
Okay, they are taking down those videos. Or when the Australian killer posted his manifesto and you started to read it and you saw that he was kind of a lefty radical, they didn't want that out there for people to know where he got his ideas from. And it's just the irony of it. So I don't want you to get mad about it, but I bring it to your
It's
attention
laughable.
because I love that Viktor Orban and the Hungarian government are laughing at it.
I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, you are an actor. You play people like us in movies. We
I know.
do it. We are
I know.
living it.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
I know. All right, so let's go to Paris real quick. Parts of Paris are actually burning as protests erupt against the security bill. 81 people were arrested as mass protests and riots broke out on the streets of Paris against a proposed law that would criminalize, get this, filming police in France. Thousands of people, I'm going to show you some video here in a second, protested throughout the country on Saturday, with the Ministry of Interior claiming it was about 130,000 people in 70 French cities. The organizers said that they had about 500,000 people. Protesters were seen carrying signs reading, "Who will protect us from the ferocious ferocious order? Lower your weapons and we will lower our cameras." Protesters were also seen carrying the images of politicians who supported the proposed restrictions. The proposed security law, well, get this, which was adopted at first reading by the National Assembly in France, would see people found guilty facing a year in prison and subject to 40,000 pound fines. The government has argued that the new law would not impede upon freedom of the press or the ability of the public to film officers, and went on to amend the original bill to specify that it will only target the dissemination of images clearly aimed at harming a police officer's or a soldier's physical or psychological integrity. But opponents believe that the bill's remit is too vague. My question is, what would harm a police officer's integrity? So if a police officer hit a protester or arrested him in a violent manner, that would harm their integrity.
Right.
And so you, as a bystander, would go to jail for a year.
Right.
And have a 40,000 pound, that would put you in debt forever. That would just seriously put you in debt forever.
Well, and they do it because they're trying to achieve a result of compliance.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want you to film what. So this is a little all-out civil war here. Because Antifa loves to just come out and hit cops no matter what. Regardless of whether this is I would protest against that for sure.
This is awful.
Not quite like this, though. It doesn't do, I don't believe it does any good, but.
No, I don't think it does either, but they're left without recourse. And I can't say that it doesn't do any good. I think that when you have all this kind of violence going on, then the authorities feel like they have to do
I don't
something.
think this does any good. This is just anarchy.
Yeah.
So
no,
the problem is that, the problem in France is that the protests always turn into.
Yeah, well, they have a long history of that.
Something that does not resemble a protest.
I never understood the demolition of private property when you're upset at governments.
Right.
Like, government buildings, while I would never do it or condone it, I don't, it makes more sense. Wow.
Is France still standing? I know a lot of people are like, oh, I talk to people in France and I don't really see it. And then we see these videos and I'm just like, well, where is it then?
Well, you could say, okay, France is a lot smaller than America, but if that was happening in Ohio, we wouldn't always see it,
Well, 70 cities saw protests. So, yeah. I don't know. All right. Brexiteer MP slams COVID tears at authoritarian Farage, predicts mass rebellion. Steve Baker, MP, has condemned as authoritarian the government throwing 99% of England under tiers 2 and 3 coronavirus restrictions. Brexit leader Nigel Farage predicts mass rule breaking from the British public. On Thursday, the government announced that after the second lockdown ends on December 2nd, England will be forced back into regional tiered restrictions ranging from lowest 1 to highest 3. Tier 2 severely restricts household mixings, and Tier 3 results in many hospitality businesses either being forced to offer takeaway food services only or close entirely. I know you guys, here's the thing, they want to close down the pubs because that's where you guys go and you actually disseminate information, you converse. They want to separate us. That's what these things are about. They want to separate us. So what they're saying is that if you get a big, large beer and you drink it with your dinner, if your dinner is finished before your beer, you have to leave. So you got to eat slow or keep ordering food, baby.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. And that's what just goes to show you that none of this is sanity. Now, obviously, Leah and I don't drink. I think beer tastes like foot. But y'all have your right to do it. And this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
So remember, they're giving you this 5-day break because the government gives you your rights. That's not natural. Right. I'm just kidding.
Sarcasm.
Over the tier levels will be reviewed on December 16th. The system will be in place until the spring. Just boom. Despite speculation that more parts of the country would be moved up a tier in today's announcement, lawmakers have reacted with disbelief at the expanse of the new conditions from north to south. By population, The Guardian reports overwhelmingly 99% of the country is subject to the top 2-tier restrictions. Just the western county of Cornwall and the Isles of Sicily off the coast and the southern Isle of Wight are in tier 1. Brexiteer Steve Baker, a leader of the parliamentary anti-lockdown movement, remarked, "The authoritarianism at work today is truly appalling, but it is necessary and proportionate to the threat from this disease." Mr. Baker then demanded the government publish their analysis, which influenced what is in effect is a continuation of the current lockdown. Now remember, sorry, it's hard for me to remember all the people's names, but the guy who came up with the Imperial College thing, he who said that 2 million people were going to die, he broke the COVID lockdown rules. He's a married man to have an affair with a married woman, thus mixing households immorally, ethically, and obviously he doesn't care about COVID.
So now, we're gonna do a commercial break to let Katie Hopkins explain how she feels about it to Boris.
Yeah, then can I finish Steve Baker's?
But yes,
go
ahead. No, go ahead.
Okay. He says, which influenced what in effect is a continuation of the current lockdown for many parts of the country. On the economy and on the coronavirus, I fear we are now so far down the rabbit hole that we have forgotten we have entered it. And then Nigel Farage says, "This is lockdown in all but name. I think that mass rule breaking is coming."
Okay, so keep in mind, I'm going to give you a second. If you don't, Katie is crude and she is rude and there are a couple curse words in here. It's not that bad, but it's Katie Hopkins. All right, if you're from America, you don't know. If you want to fast forward or mute or whatever for the next 2 minutes, I think her little clip is 2 minutes long. Okay, I'm just giving fair warning. Try to remember to do that with you guys. I laughed.
So glad and so relieved that Boris Johnson's put this area into tier 2, because I don't know about you, but can you hear that bird? I honestly think it's got COVID. I think that's one of the sounds of distress, is birds tweeting like that. I mean, honestly, if we weren't in the same tier as East London and Tower Hamlets and inner city Sheffield, I don't know what we'd do without Boris Johnson, that brilliant potato in a wig, that turnip in a toupee, protecting us here. I mean, goodness only knows what pickle we'd be in. I mean, mild seasonal flu, which only impacts the over 85s. I'd be terrified right now. But thank God we have Boris Johnson and his brilliant government making sure that here in the... Is that a sheep? Oh no, it's a pheasant. Hold on. Do you think that pheasant has got COVID? I mean, it might have. But seriously, to all the brilliant people who turned up at the London protests, thank you for your moral courage. Thank you for standing for freedom. And the brilliant thing about standing for freedom, of course, is it's a uniter. It unites all of us. To the Santa Claus that got arrested, I'm so sorry for that. It was just terrible. Imagine arresting Santa. And to the brilliant hairdresser in Kirklees, who's just been fined £27,000 for the crime of trying to keep her salon open. Thank you too, darling. If we can do anything to help you, please do let us know. And to Boris Johnson, you think you're going to put us into a lockdown? No, darling, no. You can stick your tears up your arse. After all, there's only 2 of them, so it shouldn't be as painful as if there were 3. And if you think you're cancelling Christmas, sweetie, dream on. Because we're going to have Christmas. And we're going to have it with lights on.
With lights on.
I love it so much. A lot of times Katie says it in a way that the rest of us cannot. Because here she is again. And I love at the end how she said there, you're not canceling Christmas.
No.
We are going to have Christmas.
With the lights on. I got another Katie.
Safely say that batshit bonkers Britain has truly outdone itself today. It's been quite a special event, hasn't it? We have come out of lockdown only to go into another lockdown, except it's changed names this time. Now it's not lockdown, it's called Tears. Like a wedding cake, but a very, very shit wedding cake. A wedding cake that you were sold on the basis that it had 3 tiers, but in fact, actually, it was only going to have 2, and then one pissy little thing on the top called Cornwall. 99% of British people are in tier 2 and 3, so what's the bloody point in dangling a little carrot in front of us like we're a bunch of idiot donkeys saying there's 3 tiers, when quite clearly this is just lockdown 3. There's some other big questions, aren't there, being asked out there by good people like yourself, like how is it we went into lockdown in tier 1 or 2 and we've come out in tier 3? What happened except that the cases went down, there was no big problem, the hospitals are fine, you just want to lock us down anyway? And how is it, of course, that 4,000 people can gather together in Primark and buy shit they don't need in brown paper bags that collapse in the rain, but we're not allowed to go to the pub with each other for a drink? And who is it that's going to decide what a substantial meal is? I suggest all pubs decide what a substantial meal is, charge £2 for it, add that levy onto a pint of beer, and we can all get on with living our lives. And not only all of this, but Boris Johnson didn't even have the courage to come out and say it all himself. He sent out Matthew Halfcock to say it because Boris didn't have the courage to do it. There's real hypocrisy at play, obviously. How is it possible that London is tier 2 when other places who have no problems at all are tier 2? And, you know, do these scientists, like the government scientist who was shagging his married lover whilst he was telling us to lock down, presumably his genitals are still tier 1. He can shag who he wants as long as the rest of us are locked down.
I watched Leah. I watched my video through to the
well,
end.
she's not about this stupid guy.
Just before you agree
it's
with me
really
too
important.
much.
Presumably.
This sits with people who went out clapping at the sky. If you were a sky clapper, remember back in March, clapping at the sky, 8 o'clock on a Thursday night, like some sad little Korean individual told what to do by the government, you're part of this. You encouraged this government to believe it could tell you anything it wanted and you would suck it up like a hooker with kids.
I got it. I stopped it. Sorry. I didn't watch all of
Dang, you're not allowed to play Katie Hopkins videos if you don't watch them through to the end.
Sorry, Katie. Sorry.
We do not have that kind of show. She does. And I understand that all you people in the UK watch that kind of stuff.
No, they don't all. They're like, Leah, watch the Katie Hopkins.
Jeez, I'm sorry if that hurt your ears, but it is better that I hurt your ears screaming and bumping the microphone than for Katie to get crazy.
Okay, I have some things that aren't crazy.
Jeez.
Okay, I have some things that aren't crazy. All right, so
that was my beep, but I didn't have a good beep.
A furious MP, Charles Walker, is
Y'all
just
laughing.
livid.
Y'all are bad people.
Livid. He witnesses police brutality against an old lady, and he goes before. He goes before. Let's see. Where am I? We are not. I'm going to play a couple. I'm going to play. Charles Walker. Then I'm going to show you what he was upset about.
Madam Deputy Speaker, it is lovely to see you
I
in
don't
the
believe
chair.
you're going to have any curse words.
Madam Deputy Speaker, our freedoms are like the air we breathe. They're fundamental to us as a nation and to who we are as its people. Yet once again, we stand on the threshold of using the rule of law to undermine the rule of law, the foundations of which have been laid over centuries. And can I say this, Madam Deputy Speaker? We are not asking our constituents to do anything we have never asked. We have coerced them. We have coerced them through criminal and civil law. Let us not use that word ask, because it is not an accurate description of what we have done. We have criminalised freedom of association, the freedom to go about one's business, the freedom to travel, and the freedom to protest, the freedom to protest. That is the oxygen of democracy. And Madam Deputy Speaker, this hurts my head and it hurts my heart. And dismissing these sincerely held concerns as wanting to let the virus rip is both deeply ungenerous and deeply, deeply unkind. But in responding to that charge, Madam Deputy Speaker, I say, if this Parliament is not the place for disputation, delectable or otherwise, where is this rigour to be found? And I want people to live long lives, full lives, happy lives, myself included. But my mortality, our mortality, is ultimately our contract with our Maker, whereas our fundamental rights are our contract with government. So I will not be supporting this legislation. I think it is terribly unjust and, like my dear friend, in many parts cruel. I will have no part of criminalising parents for seeing their children and children for seeing their parents. No part.
Preach, man.
This legislation goes against my every instinct, perhaps an instinct even more fundamental than the love and touch of my family. And I am not living in fear of the virus. I will not live in fear of the virus, but I am living in fear of something much darker, hiding in the shadows. And, Madam Deputy Speaker, when the sunlight returns, and it will return, I hope it chases those shadows away. But I can't be sure that it will. I cannot be sure. And that is at the heart of my anxiety and the anxiety of so many of the people I represent in this place. Thank you.
Wow, that's
Dude,
so well said.
that guy should be your prime minister. I don't know, where has Charles Walker been my whole life? That is so powerful.
Barry says, Michelle, there are currently over 100 Tory MPs going to rebel and vote down these COVID-19 tier restrictions on Wednesday.
Praise the Lord. All right, so let me go over some of these video here.
MP Sir Charles Walker has expressed concern at what he called the disgraceful and un-British police officers who bundled an elderly woman into the back of a van for protesting outside Parliament. This is the former chair of the 1922 committee, told the officers that their actions were an outrage. As he...
I actually have that video here. Hang on.
I've just witnessed an elderly lady.
Let me show you the video first that he saw. So he witnessed an elderly lady. Let me see here.
See what you think.
What's she done?
This was a big deal. This happened this week. She was in her, yeah. She said the 8th. I think honestly they were going after the older people.
Well, I will do something. I'm a member of Parliament. This is an absolute disgrace. Yeah. This is a disgrace. Yeah. She's an old lady. You don't need to obey illegal orders as police officers. You must have mothers.
You don't need to obey illegal orders as police officers.
What an outrage. What a disgrace. This is absolutely disgrace.
What's going on? That's what's going on.
It doesn't matter what group she's on, she's a she has a fundamental...
What's so amazing is that there's all these police around this woman.
Yeah.
And she was probably just standing by herself.
Right.
And now they have, like, gotten up in her face.
Well, not only that, but
to spread
you're
COVID
seeing
to her.
All the cameras are around.
All the cameras,
and
all the people.
It's like, how long has this been taking for everybody to gather around?
Right.
Right to protest.
Freedom.
You're arresting her.
Protect people's freedom. Get me?
You can be out walking, but you can't carry a sign.
It will be talked about in
protesting.
Parliament. Say, who is this lady and how old is
Are
she?
you ready for what you started then? Yes.
Sorry, doesn't matter. I'm a member of Parliament for Drop.Space. Somebody find out how old she is. Let me know who she is, and I'll raise it in Parliament. Yeah? Email me who she is, what she's allegedly done, and email it to Charles Walker.
All right, so he goes to Parliament.
You've just witnessed an elderly lady peacefully protesting with a handful of other people be arrested and carried spread eagle to a police van.
What? Why is she arrested?
Because we're being controlled by China.
You ready for the repercussions of what you do?
That's an old lady we've been watching from up there. What's she done? She's 78, is she?
System gives COVID regulations.
What COVID regulations?
She's an old lady.
We've been watching. She was just on her own. What's she done?
That's it.
What? Why is she arrested?
Because we're being controlled by China.
Protesters.
How many of them were there? 2 of them? 1 of them?
No, lots more before 6. You don't want the full story.
I do know that you're arresting an old lady for demonstrating right to protest. This is a disgrace. Why you'll do something? This is an absolute disgrace. This is a disgrace. She's an old lady. You don't...
You lost your bloody heart. Following orders like Nuremberg.
Redneck says it's just outright tyranny.
She has a fundamental right to protest. You're arresting her.
I love that nobody's really wearing masks. Go, guys.
You will be talked about it. So who is this lady?
So you ready for what you started then? Yeah.
An elderly lady peacefully protesting with a handful of other people be arrested and carried spread eagle to a police van just outside the precinct of the House of Commons. This is a disgrace. This is un-British. It is unconstitutional. And this government, our Prime Minister, needs to end these injustices now. Madam Deputy Speaker, will you bring the Prime Minister and or the Home Secretary here today to sort this out? She was an old lady robbed of her dignity for having the courage to protest about having her fundamental rights and those of my constituents and others removed.
Well,
I just want you to know that that's what a real man looks like. If you ever wondered what a real man looks like. Then we have Santa arrested here. Graphic language. Santa, viewer discretion advised.
Legit. You can just turn it down. They can get the idea.
Santa got ran over by the police officers protesting the lockdowns in the UK.
Now, I am curious, though. Was it a, mall Santa? Or was it someone that just put on a Santa costume to go protest? Yeah, honestly. But it sure does make for, I put on an excellent title. They arrested Santa. You would think that they could have arrested someone else besides Santa.
Freedom.
Choose your
Choose
side.
your side.
We do not consent.
So I like this sign. No forced testing, no coerced vaccines, stop taking liberties and human rights.
That's good.
No more lies, no more masks, no more lockdowns. All we want for Christmas is our freedom back. Resistance to tyranny is obedience to God. We do not consent. I'm very proud of these people with their signs.
Me too.
You can stick your lockdown. Stick your lockdown.
And then you've got the average UK guy.
I don't know even the average, but the...
I don't want to be vaccinated. I want to be free. I want to live my life. I want all my friends to live their lives. You know. Hey, they thought they could easily get their great reset. Little did they know. Little did they know.
This got me so excited. This is why I love this video. It's almost why I wanted to bring my show for you today. This short little video. They thought they were going to have their great reset. They're having a great awakening. We were sitting around a fire pit last night. Britt Boston sent me this video. I got goosebumps. I got chills. I was so excited. This is what we needed. We needed you guys needed to vote in all the Tories and see that they're slimy. But not all of them, because you got 100 of them that are willing to stand up. Mark their names down. Those are the good guys.
Yeah.
The ones that are going for this lockdown, mark their names down. They're not the good guys. But what they tried to do all around the whole world is a great reset with COVID and Biden and Boris. And Boris is all in, guys. He is legit evil to the core because he knows exactly what he's doing. And honestly, I think that when he got COVID, I think that they did something to his brain in the hospital.
I know. I was wondering about that. He came out and he has not been right since.
It's a cover-up. It's a cover-up. So while they bring in reset the whole economy.
It's a cover-up while they bring in the whole reset to reset the economy. I love that everybody knows about this around the entire world.
Look into the governments. Look at the globalist agenda. Look at Agenda 2030. Look at Event 201. Look at Bill Gates' record. Yeah? Look at the money trail. Look at what the governments are saying. Look at Klaus Schwab and his fourth industrial revolution.
Do you know why these people know about this? Because they've all stopped watching the mainstream media.
And that's why YouTube is doing mass censorship, because they're trying to make it so that people can't get the information out.
That's why they keep trying to down Parler and Rumble, and they're terrified of these alternative platforms.
Sovereign! We do not consent to your authority!
All these people no masks on. Love you guys. There goes Santa.
Which Bible verse were you asking about, Gonzalez?
There goes Santa. I wonder if they arrested his reindeer.
Donna Terry says, I think they gave Boris drugs in the hospital and he's still on them.
Yeah. Cases, so UK, this is a UK coronavirus live. Cases are up. Actually, cases are down. So this is like this weird,
although, hang on, I got a question.
The cases are up, but the
deaths are down. Yeah,
right.
hang on. Because what we're looking at right now is a mass increase of cases, in my humble opinion, because of is it called the PCR test? I don't know if you guys are doing those in the UK. I know we're doing them here. They will test you positive for like COVID if you literally, I mean, I don't know, just they will test anything positive for COVID.
Right.
Okay, if you've ever had a cold in your life, it will find that antibody and it's like, okay, you had COVID.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, you cannot trust these tests.
Yes.
So the cases are not just up because they're doing more testing. They are up because they're testing people positive a lot that are not actually positive for COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And here's how I know. They are not, there's a couple things that could be at play here. They are not treating people for COVID. At least here in the United States, no one is getting treatment unless you're
Right.
like really, really bad off, right?
Right.
And so, but the death rate is coming down. How can the death rate be coming down if we aren't treating and we're not vaccinating? All right? Unless all this
Right.
massive testing
Right.
is not testing people positive for COVID, or, and I think in this case it's all right, this virus mutates unlike the flu doesn't mutate, okay?
100 gets wrong results.
This virus mutates and it loses genetic information every time it does because it was manufactured in a lab. It is not naturally occurring, and it did not evolutionarily come to being. Coronaviruses have to have a really long time to make the jump from animal to human. Okay, it hasn't done that, and it hasn't had the time to do that actually. So we know it was manufactured. We know it mutates so it can be losing potency because of that. And that might be why the death rates are down. But I truly believe the reason why the death rates are down is because they were never up to begin with. You had a car wreck. And if you tested positive for COVID, you died from COVID. They're working that out now so that it's not like that as much. And I think that's why the death rates are down.
Well, that's true too. This is more video from the lockdowns.
The most stupidest thing human beings have done in history has been done today.
Pause. Okay, so when I'm talking about the flu mutating, scrap that word. If everybody's going to get on me like I get on Leah with the words. Okay. What we are seeing is this virus, I can get it and give it to somebody else, and within giving it to that other person, it will have mutated and changed just from one person to the next, and the
totally
symptoms are completely different. It's constantly evolving from one person to the next person to the next person to the next person, the next person, the next person, the next person. So yes, we have different strains of flu every single year, and yes, it does mutate. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it actually changing on the fly from person to person to person.
But you actually, with the flu, you get the same basic symptoms.
Right.
Chills, fever,
right.
Sniffles,
in the beginning,
cough,
it was the big dry cough, right?
And everybody
Do you
was
remember
just
that?
coughing
and
a dry
everybody
cough.
had the big dry cough. Nobody lost their sense of taste. Nobody lost their sense of smell. Now they're losing their sense of taste. They're losing their sense of smell. Our cousin just got over it, and he had massive stomach cramps.
In the beginning, they said
die.
There was no stomach problems and no diarrhea or anything like that.
They can't stick to anything as far as what these symptoms are because they are constantly
It's
evolving.
anything,
It's
literally anything.
Anything you are ill with can be coronavirus. And that is not normal.
Right.
When Leah got it, or I had it first, my symptoms were classic for what the list was all the way down, except for I didn't have the dry cough. Leah had hardly any of those symptoms, and all she had was the dry cough. Every
is
couple
coughing
that I've
and
run
coughing
into
and coughing.
that
Like,
they both
where is
have
this
it.
cough coming from? Nope, it was an unproductive cough.
Exactly, but that's not a thing anymore for this.
It wasn't like even nasally. I thought I was trying to fight
Right,
it, like nasal
right,
stuff
right.
with I thought it started with a sore throat and then this cough. That's exactly what they had it in China.
But we're running into people that, like, the husband and the wife that get it.
Nobody's getting coughing.
Well, but one person has a certain set of symptoms and another person has a completely
Well, and
set.
some people,
one
it's like
has it longer, one has it shorter. I mean, it's like
some people it's like a little mild cold, another person feels like they're gonna die.
And how is it that these kids can be testing positive and be asymptomatic? When you have the flu, you have the flu. You might have a stronger immune system that helps you get over it faster, but you have the same flu, the same type of symptoms. They just maybe a little bit more mild depending on how strong your immune system is.
Right.
This thing is off the chain of unpredictability.
Right. So let me want to play for you. Let's see. Whoa. I hate when that comes. Don't send me a message during the show, guys, or you're going to be up there.
Oh, well,
messages.
It's just Tracy. She says, Sean's uncle, she wanted this read out loud anyway.
Okay.
Sean's uncle Francis passed away on the 12th. He collapsed in his garden from heart failure on his
as the
death
worst
certificate.
peacetime.
He died from COVID. He didn't even test positive post-mortem. It was because he was shedding.
Wow.
Unbelievable, Tracy.
Wow.
Totally believable.
Nigel Farage update.
Well, it has to
Wait,
rate
hang
as
on.
the worst peacetime
Did he get a new
crisis.
TV show or something? You guys have to explain this to me because I've never.
Is Nigel got his own channel? Like, is he doing his own thing? Something I have not seen this. I'm gonna be watching it every day. What is going on?
There's ever been. Not just here, but around the rest of the world. Think about it here. Over 50,000 people who've died
Thank
of
God.
or with COVID-19. Millions unemployed, and that number rising rapidly. A national debt now of 2 trillion. Millions of people who run their own businesses really fearful that if we don't get a vaccine to the middle of next year, will they still even be surviving economically? Depression, mounting suicide. I mean, it's a pretty bad time for lots of people in our country. And it's at bad times, whether in peace or war, that we need leadership. Are we getting it? Well, let's have a little think about our Prime Minister, shall we? He's one of over 50 million people who had had a positive diagnosis for COVID-19. And, of course, he nearly died, but he's recovered. He says himself he's bursting with antibodies, and yet he's decided he's going to self-isolate because he briefly met an MP who later tested positive for COVID. Hey, he's immune. He's got at least 6 months T-cell immunity. Why is he not leading from the front? He also had a test last week. So we've got the Prime Minister, far from giving leadership at a vital time in terms of the well-being of our nation. Oh, I nearly forgot. Brexit talks also coming to a conclusion. He's in hiding. But don't worry, if the politicians aren't giving leadership, there's always the church. Yes, the established church. The Church of England, which of course the Queen is defender of the faith of. And it'll all be okay, because the Archbishop of Canterbury, he will give us the spiritual leadership we need at this time. Oh, there's one slight problem. He's called Justin Welby. He's a lefty. He did everything he could to oppose the referendum, said some dreadful things about me and how I enjoyed one morning going over Lambeth Bridge on an open-top double-decker, and there walking over the bridge was the Archbishop, and I gave him both barrels on the microphone, I'm pleased to say. And he's got worse, not better. All the church want to do is talk about progressive lefty politics. They have provided no spiritual leadership for the nation whatsoever. And now we hear, just as Boris is hiding, now we hear the Archbishop is taking a sabbatical. I thought that was after you'd done something of note. What on earth is he taking a sabbatical for? I tell you what, Dr. Welby, make it a permanent sabbatical, because the church has let the country down even worse than the politicians.
It's Nigel at the news desk, and
I don't know where like that is coming from.
Fun.
But yeah.
I love it. Yay, Nigel. And here's the deal, like he could I've been saying this from the beginning, especially when he got kicked off of LBC, right? What these people like Tucker Carlson needs to just start his own network, right?
And put everybody on it from all around the world.
And and Fox News would tank. Nigel Farage, as soon as he left LBC, now he probably had a non-compete clause at that point, but that may have evaporated. I don't know. But he needed to just go
him. There
and
shouldn't be a non-complete clause.
Okay.
Non-compete clause.
Really?
Not
All right.
if they
Yeah, that's
fire
right.
you.
You're right. You're right. So he should have just gone straight away, except for he had business to do, and that was the Brexit party and all of that. But now that he's there and doing it, he could start up his own British equivalent of Newsmax and overtake, honestly, every mainstream news, because people would sit there and watch Nigel and anyone else that he picked.
All the good news about vaccines, well, that seems to have gone away, because we kind of thought, didn't we? We were coming out of lockdown and life was going to be better. Well, yesterday's bombshell from Downing Street means that whilst 42% of us were in Tier 1, it's now 1% of us that are in Tier 1, and 24 million of us find ourselves in Tier 3, including my home county of Kent. Just because of one council out on the Isle of Sheppey, the whole of the county goes from Tier 1 to Tier 3. How many times have I said over the course of the last few weeks that the cure is worse than
the disease. And that wasn't an easy message to push a couple of months back, but I now think people are beginning to understand it.
Yep.
It's as if Boris Johnson and the government have got themselves stuck through fear that in years to come people will say lots of people died and they didn't act. Well, one thing is for certain, lots of people are going to die. They're going to die because they've not been diagnosed with cancers, die because they've not been diagnosed with serious heart disease, die because many of the normal screening processes that go on within our health services simply aren't happening. Oh, it'll be okay. The 23rd of December we'll be allowed to meet a couple of other families at Christmas. Here's the point. Whether you're bullish or not about these vaccines, and I think there are some practical problems we're already seeing, that AstraZeneca didn't test anybody on one of their samples over the age of 55. We're also seeing that getting that Pfizer vaccine out, keeping it at minus 70 degrees, means there are huge logistical problems to come. And if you think about the way this government has handled everything since March, well, it seems to me to make a mess of everything, so why wouldn't they make a mess of the vaccine rollout? The brutal truth is that this government, with this mindset, is going to effectively keep us locked down until at least Easter. That is catastrophic for millions of self-employed small traders out there in this country. And frankly, in many parts of the United Kingdom, it just doesn't make medical sense either. Yes, this is a horrible, horrible virus that some people get affected very badly by. It's a virus that does kill some people, but to be fair, 95% of those that die already have a serious underlying
and that's massive
issue.
That's massive.
So I'm not telling you there isn't a problem with this virus. For a certain percentage of the population, there is. But the price we're paying is crazy. We should be protecting the vulnerable if they want to be protected, but the rest of us have
if they
got
want
to
to
learn
be
to live with
protected,
this, have got to learn.
you have to be
get
able
on
to
with
make
the
a
rest of our
choice.
lives.
Right, even the
Now,
people
I've
in
been
nursing
astonished
homes.
since the start of this, the extent to which we've allowed our basic liberties and freedom to be taken away by a government who are frankly behaving like totalitarians.
Why not give the vulnerable
the
hydroxychloroquine?
idea that they own Christmas and they're going to give us a few days off over Christmas. We're told by the chief medical officer, Mr. Whitty, that we mustn't hug our grandparents, otherwise we'll never be able to hug them again. I can't ever think of a time when government was doing so much to try and scare the wits out of us. Well, to some extent, in the first 6 months of this crisis, that did work, and people were very scared. But I now sense there's a growing rebellion out there in the country. No, I'm not advising people to break the law. That isn't my job. Although I am aware of something going on over the country that I never thought we'd see. Speakeasies. It's almost like the days of Prohibition in America in between the wars. Pubs and restaurants opening up, putting blackout blinds on their windows. And people will start to break the law if they don't have respect for the law. I'm not advocating that, but I'm commenting that it is happening. But there's another rebellion happening that I think is potentially more important. You know that politically I'm trying to get the Brexit Party rebranded as Reform UK, and I do want, fighting the way these decisions are being made, fighting lockdown, to be a part of that programme. There are now about 70 backbench Conservative MPs who clearly are very unhappy. After all, you know, if you've gone to bed in tier 1 and you wake up in tier 3, your constituents are not going to be very happy. That rebellion is growing. Boris Johnson is feeling the pressure. He's feeling the pressure on this. He's also probably feeling the pressure on Brexit too, where we face a couple of really crucial weeks. So what can we do? Well, I'll tell you what you can do.
Pray.
I'll tell you what you really must do. Bombard your member of Parliament.
Your MPs.
Bombard them.
Yeah.
Tell them that the
Call
cure
them.
is worse than the disease.
Call them.
Tell them to rebel, not just against the government next week, but against the Labour Party too, because the Labour Party are supporting all these lockdowns. It's almost as if our established political parties, and that includes
The
the
Labour
Scots
Party
Nats
should
and
be the
others,
rebellion
it's almost
party,
as if there's a
right?
competition for who can lock down the hardest. And much of that is because the mindset of these politicians, it's the mindset of the public sector, it's the mindset of those who, frankly, treat money as if it grows on trees. What about the private sector? What about all those people out there whose livelihoods are being destroyed? And I think there's a growing number of MPs beginning to understand this. So whether you've got a Labour MP, or whether you've got a Conservative MP,
Call them both.
lobby
Absolutely.
them by email, by letter, and tell them to rebel against their party next
Yes.
week. And let's get back to a policy.
You could see
of
a
common
huge
sense.
bipartisan.
It's a nasty virus, but we have to learn to live with it. We have to learn how to deal with it. So join the Democratic Rebellion, get onto your MP, and let's see Boris.
What do you think the significance is of the guy who played Darth Vader dying? I've always seen us as the rebel cause.
Yeah, that's really good.
And we
hang on. I'm sure he was a great guy.
No, I know the significance of the character who played Darth Vader. Everybody's talking about Darth Vader. Darth Vader's dead.
Right.
Darth Vader's gone.
Right.
Now, I'm sure he was, but like he is passed away. And I think that there's got to be some sort of. Here's the thing, life and death are in the hands of the Lord. So 2 days ago or just yesterday, the man who played Darth Vader, and everybody's bringing up Darth Vader as like, you know, he wasn't a great. The character, the actor was a lovable guy.
Yeah.
But the character blew up worlds.
Right.
Created the Death Star. Okay.
So hot.
And we are the word. He keeps using the word rebellion. Well, what were they called? We were called the Rebellion. I'm with the Ewokies, baby. Okay. I'm named after Princess Leia, by the way. Okay, so I am like my DNA is in Star Wars. It's in fighting. It's in the underground fighting.
Yeah.
That I've ever since I was a little kid, I've always been the person to fight the underdog and fight the big guy. And so I just really think that with him using the word rebellion, be part of the rebellion, join the rebellion against the great empire, against the great globalists, against the 2030. I mean, this is a very easy allegory here that we can see playing out right before our eyes. And I believe it's a spiritual significance that the man who played the character Darth Vader is 85 years old. It's not that he died, early or anything like that. It's a pretty good long life, right? But that character is gone.
Right.
Okay. And I really believe that we've been underneath of the thumb of Darth Vader, and it's a spiritual thing.
You know what though? Hang on, don't touch that because I don't have to fix the lighting. Here's the deal. Darth Vader actually did turn at the end after he died.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, to the right side. Right, so we can still pull it around with the character and the whole thing, right? The evil is dying, okay, but that the people that were, lulled onto this, like, I'm a bad guy because I don't know any better, are going to turn and all that. All right, but anyway, let me read some comments. Please don't touch it because then I have to adjust the lighting. I want to read some comments before I adjust the lighting. And every time Leah takes me off of any screen, I got to fix the lighting. All right, back on them arresting the older lady. Cran on Periscope says, do the cops have a quota to fill? LOL. Oh, the old lady's easy to get in the van, so let's start with her.
I know.
Gloria says they need to stop testing. Obama ordered to stop testing for SARS. Remember, Chinese virus is flu, fear is control. All right, let me get to a couple of the comments here on YouTube. Now, earlier, Barry had said, oh, wow. Y'all have a lot of comments going in here that really went past. Michelle, Nigel has launched his own internet news channel with a couple of former BBC political commentators.
Where can you find that?
So is that on YouTube?
What's it called? Where is it?
I want to know because I want to be able to watch it because I'm really, really excited about that. Let's see. Eric says the cure is worse than the virus. You're right about that. Barry says the Pfizer vaccine has to be kept at negative 70 degrees Celsius while being stored and transported. The freezer trucks in all national fleets only drop to negative 25 as a norm. There are a few super freezers that go to negative 60 degrees Celsius. That kind of seems like a problem there. Mikey says labor are globalists through and through. Robin says a lot of the Tory counties are in the country. I'll bet they are ignoring the lockdowns. Exactly. Redneck says that's what Star Wars is all about. And I'm with the Ewokies, baby, says Apple Mark. Okay, now you may adjust the And now let's see how we're pitch black again.
Yeah, well, here is one more, then we're going to move on to Donald Trump.
It does it. I have no idea why I've got a mic here that works. One day I'll figure out the camera, but in the meantime, I have to literally manually adjust the lighting.
This one is crazy. So I'm going to set this video up. You do see somebody come to this older man's defense. Now you see, this is in the UK. I believe it's in London. I'm not exactly sure. You guys can tell me when you're liaison officer. I don't know. See if it says. But anyways, this elderly man has a sheet where he's talking about COVID-19, and you're not allowed to form a protest with more than 2 people. More than 2 people. Now, there are other people in this little area that are protesting. So they go after the old man, who obviously looks like in his late 70s, early 80s possibly, and they're coming to him. Now, somebody comes to him and just like, what is this? Is this the Stasi? This is fascism. And this is where we're headed, where you're going after these elderly people. Shoot.
And there's lots of other people protesting the same thing in this area. As I'm sure you know, under the current health protection coronavirus regulations, any protest of 2 or more people, is illegal. Okay? Now, whether you agree with that or not, okay, that is the job of the police is to enforce that.
Now, all these people are allowed out wandering around, but since he has a shirt and a sign on, they're coming to him.
Okay, and so you may well find very soon. I'm actually not here on a protest. You're actually not here on a protest. Okay. No, what's the reason you're signing this? No. See, I'm here to inform the public about some. So you're here for an educational assembly, is that correct? Yes. Right. Okay. I mean, the fact that you're here at the same time as a protest about this very matter suggests to me quite heavily that that's not in fact why you're here. You are here for some form of protest. Well, I'm here, obviously, to inform people. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a placard. Right. Okay. Well, like I said, I believe you're here for some sort of protest. And therefore, under the coronavirus health protection regulations, you're in a process of 2 or more people.
But why are they going after the old man? He's looking around. You're in a protest with 2 or more people. So they're going after these weak older people. Like, why? It's satanic. You can't be serious.
You can. You're on overtime to.
I'm not on overtime.
Harass this bloke to do this.
At the moment, we're informing him of legislation. I've just come here. And I'm not in a company with anyone else.
We're not East Berlin or Nazi Germany.
We're not East Berlin.
Say whatever they want to say.
Sorry?
Look how close they have to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
He probably doesn't agree with the regulations. I don't.
I don't know anyone here.
I don't know anyone here.
As part of the which there are numerous other people, that puts everyone at risk with regards to the spreading.
That puts everyone at risk.
That puts everyone else at risk with regards to potential spreading of the coronavirus.
Do they think that the old guy is going to be spreading the virus? That puts everyone at risk. There are people walking around, no masks. He's standing there all by himself with his little placard.
And handling himself quite well, I must say. No, I'm not here. I'm here to inform the public. They think he's being snarky. I took him very seriously. I'm not here. I don't know any of these people. I'm just here to inform the public. All right, are we going to Donald Trump?
All right, guys. It was a really beautiful day outside. We're gonna cover a lot of election stuff. I actually have a lot of stuff I can bring you, some updates, but I really just want to bring you Uncle Trump's interview today. But before I do, as we switch kind of gears, but it's still the globalism, it's still the power struggle that we have right now. I was asking God to give me a word for you guys for today, because it seems to be that every time over the lull of the weekend, spirits go down because there's not a lot happening, because people only really work Monday through Friday. Right. I knew this weekend would be hard to get through because the hearings don't start, and people are going to be analyzing things like a Friday. It looked like there was going to be a stay on the certification of the election.
Okay.
election results, and then the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania said, ruled against it, and it was like all these things going back and forth. And I know there's highs and there's emotional lows, and there's emotional highs and there's emotional lows.
Right here for you guys, not just for you guys, but this is just where we stay.
But
honestly,
so I asked God for a word, and the one word I got was the only way out is through. So if you stop where you're at right now, you won't get through and it'll be over. There's no going back. You will get out. We will get out of this together as a group. I do believe that the Brexit talks and it just all the timing is together.
So this reminds me of one of our best friends, Jessie. She had her first child last year. He's 1 now. But I have spent the last year hearing about this childbirth, and I hope she doesn't get upset at me saying this on air. But she's had to process through it. It's like a very traumatic thing on your body. And she's mentioned how, like, when you're in the middle of it, it's like, I can't get out of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I have to complete this. There is no just leaving and abandoning. You know what? I don't want the kid. Because I think there's probably been a lot of moms in the middle of childbirth be like, take it back. I take it back. If I could tap out now and just be done, I don't need children. I really don't. It's not that important to me, okay? But there's no way through it. There's no way out of it other than just you have to go through. And so I feel like what we're feeling right now are really intense
pains of
birthing
childbirth,
pains.
yeah.
And we are going to birth
Little
something
baby
that's
liberty.
so amazing.
Little baby liberty in
Yeah,
2021.
right.
But right now we are definitely at those moments where it's like contractions and it's like, no.
We're done. Okay, so Ivan said, did you call him Uncle Trump? It's a thing around the house. Leah especially, but we do it some Uncle Trumpy. Yeah.
Of the United States, Donald J. Trump on the telephone. Mr. President, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you.
It is great to have you, and I want to say that Americans today have a lot of questions this morning, Mr. President. We hope that you can be as precise as possible and we can get through as much as possible this morning. Thank you for talking with us in the first interview since Election Day. Mr. President, you've said many times that this election was rigged, that there was much fraud, and the facts are on your side. Let's start there. Please go through the facts. Characterize what took place.
Well, first of all, I have to start by saying the whole world is watching, and nobody can believe what they're saying. And you have leaders of countries that call me and say, that's the most messed up election we've ever seen. You start with these machines that have been suspect, not allowed to be used in Texas, the Dominion machines, where tremendous reports have been put out. We have affidavits from many people talking about what went on with machines. They had glitches. You know what a glitch is? A glitch is supposed to be when a machine breaks down. Well, no, we had glitches where they moved thousands of votes from my account to Biden's account. And these are glitches. So they're not glitches, they're theft. They're fraud, absolute fraud. And there were many of them, but obviously most of them, tremendous amounts, got by without us catching. We got lucky to catch them. I think we caught 4 or 5 glitches of about 5,000 votes each, and different states. And again, they're not glitches. That was fraud, and they got caught. But for the most part, they got away with it. And what happened, if you watched the election, I was called by the biggest people saying, congratulations, political people. Congratulations, sir, you just won the election. It was 10 o'clock, and you looked at the numbers, and I'm sure you felt that way. This election was over, and then they did dumps. They call them dumps, big, massive dumps in Michigan and Pennsylvania and all over. If you take a look at, you just take a look at just about every state that we're talking about, every swing state that we're talking about, and they did these massive dumps of votes, and all of a sudden I went from winning by a lot to losing by a little. And in some cases, it took a period of time to do it. North Carolina, they couldn't do it. I won North Carolina. They couldn't, somehow they had a better system, but they couldn't do anything. I believe they tried. We have affidavits, but they couldn't do anything with
That's important.
Really a great place, North Carolina. We appreciate the incredible work they put in, and we won. But they did tens of thousands of Biden votes And all of a sudden, I went from, and I could tell you the people that were calling me, congratulating me, are people that you know very well, friends of your show. They said it's over. I said, well, I hear bad things about the machines. I hear bad things about corruption. One of your great pollsters who actually got it right, you know the gentleman I'm talking about, he said, well, Trump is going to win Pennsylvania, but you have to allow at least 5% for cheating because they cheat. Right. And that's in Philadelphia and various areas around Philadelphia. They cheat, and they cheat like crazy. So we have him winning Pennsylvania, but you have to allow 5 points for cheating. This is a terrible thing that's happened. The mail-in ballots are a disaster. They sent millions and millions and millions of mail-in ballots. I'm sure you know people that got 2, 3, or 4, because I do, where they said, you know, we got 4 ballots. They got one at a country home. Dead people were seeing ballots. But even worse, dead people were applying to get a ballot. They were making application to get ballots. Many. And, you know, we're not talking about 10 people. We're talking, there are a lot of dead people that so-called voted in this election. But dead people were, in some cases, in many, many cases, thousands of cases, voted. But also, dead people made application to vote. They were dead 10 years, 15 years, and they actually made application. This is total fraud, and how the FBI and Department of Justice, I don't know, maybe they're involved, but how people are allowed to get away from.
So Matt Brainard, the guy who...
Look at her face that you just paused on, like when he said that.
The Matt Brainard, the guy who did the VIP breakdown of all the different ways people could
because he hired a calling center to actually get boots on the ground and call people. Did you vote? Did you get a ballot?
So he has the records of real criminality.
Yes.
And the FBI came to him today. I don't trust the FBI. It actually makes me sick to my stomach to think that they've got this. He gave them copies of everything, and supposedly the FBI is going to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
This stuff is
Don't
unbelievable.
hold your breath,
This
you'll die.
election was rigged. This election was a total fraud, and it continues to be as they hide. And the problem we have, we go to judges, and people don't want to get involved. The media doesn't even want to cover it. I mean, you're doing something. You're actually very brave because you're doing something. The media doesn't want to talk about it. They know how fraudulent this is. It's no different than Hunter. It's no different than Hunter. They don't want to talk about Hunter. So they totally closed it off, big tech and the media, other than the New York Post, as you remember, which took a lot of heat. It was terminated. It was terminated from, I guess, Twitter, maybe Facebook. But it's a situation the likes of which we don't have freedom of the press in this country. We have suppression by the press. They suppress. You know, you can't have a scandal if nobody reports about it. This is the greatest fraud in the history of our country from an electoral standpoint, and I guess you could build it up bigger than an electrical. What's bigger from an electoral standpoint? What's bigger than this? This is the essence of our country. This is the whole ball game, and they cheated. Joe Biden did not get 80 million votes.
I love this.
Now we were planning. I got 63 million votes 4 years ago and won quite handily in the electoral college. Won quite handily. We did very well. I got 63. We were hoping to get 68 or so, and we felt that was a path to an easy victory. I got 74 million votes, the largest in the history of a sitting president. So much more, many millions of more than anyone thought, you know, than we were even trying to get. And everybody said, this is over. I'm telling you, at 10 o'clock, everybody thought it was over. And then the phony mail-ins started coming in, Maria. But just so you understand, I got 74 million votes. It was over. And then mail-ins started happening. Glitches started happening. This election was rigged. This election is a total fraud.
Mr. President, these are obviously very serious charges, and I want to walk through them and ask you how you will prove this in the courts, because as you know, what I've been saying on the air is that elections are the reason that our young men and women go on battlefields across the world and in some cases lose their lives, because they believe that their vote, my vote, matters just as much as your vote. And if that is not true, This is a very serious turning point for America. So this is no longer about you, President Trump. This is about America. And many people agree with you. According to Reuters, 68% of Republicans and 28% of all Americans, that includes Democrats, believe there was fraud in this election. So let's go through some of the states, the 6 states that your team is challenging. What specific strategy does your legal team take going forward? Let's start with Pennsylvania. I know you said that you have a pile of affidavits. That's part of the evidence. What other evidence can you talk about that will enable you to prove this in court in the coming weeks, sir?
Well, we're trying to put the evidence in, and the judges won't allow us to do it. We are trying, we have so much evidence. You probably saw it Wednesday last week. We had a hearing in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. It was an incredible hearing, unbelievable witnesses, highly respected people that were truly aggrieved. A woman came in and she wanted to vote, and they said, "No, I'm sorry, you can't vote. You've already voted. Your ballot's in." She said, "No, I want to vote on November 3rd. I've been waiting for so long to vote. I'm so proud.
I would be
They said, "Your
so
ballot's in.
furious
I'm sorry."
I couldn't even breathe.
And that
You know?
was the story, and she was aggrieved. And you have many people like that, many people like that, at a level that nobody would even believe. And that's where it is, Maria. That's one story. By the way, that's one story out of so many different stories. The poll watchers, and this is true with all of the states, just about that you're talking about. I think all of them. They weren't allowed to have poll watchers. The Democrats and thugs. Now, I'm not talking about saying, "Could you please move over?" They threw them out of the counting rooms. They weren't allowed to be in. They threw them outside in many cases. You heard the story with the people, they went out and sent for binoculars because they wouldn't allow them to watch. And during that period of time, a lot of bad things happened. Then they closed, as you know, they closed up the voting. And then unexpectedly, they closed up all of the counting.
With the binoculars, and I hope that someone presents this in court with the binoculars. You remember they got binoculars. When you are a credentialed poll watcher, okay, you are supposed to be able to see signatures, you're supposed to be able to compare things, and you have the right to contest any specific ballot that seems untoward or not right to you, right? So here's what I think with the binoculars. Let's just say with the binoculars, they were to have seen a football field away or however far away it was and had been able to actually see an irregularity that they wanted to contest. They could say, "I want to contest that ballot. It's my right as a poll watcher. I have credentials." They would come to you and they would say, "You can't contest a ballot. You can't see that from this far away." Then how can I be a poll watcher? This whole thing is done, and they did it time after time after time.
And that's what you would have had to have done. Like from the outside, you would have had to been like contesting table 120.
Yeah.
Contesting. And then
they come to you and they get to say, "Well, you can't see that."
That's why I'm contesting it.
To see it.
I have supervision.
Right. Exactly. I have Superman vision. You don't have the right to ask me my medical history. I can see that ballot from over here, and I am contesting it, and I'm contesting the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And if they come to you and they say, "Oh, but you can't see that." Well, isn't that the point? I have to as a poll watcher. That's why, guys, and I understand that you guys get it because you're watching our show and you've been watching our show, but I am dealing currently with people on my own personal Facebook or trolls or whatever that have no idea what is really happening. And I read this on the show 2 days ago. I think it was with Don, or maybe I just read it to you out loud, but Don Jr. No, it was just out loud. To Leah, it was on Parlor, I think, or Instagram. And he's like, the mainstream media is doing the nation a disservice by not covering the seriousness of these, at least at this point, allegations that the Trump lawyers are bringing, because what's going to happen is in 2 or 3 weeks, they're going to wake up that Donald Trump was president-elect, and they're not going to know what happened or how it happened. But we've been covering it. Maria has been covering it. So many other places have been covering it, but people have no idea what's going on.
Here's the thing. We have a guardian, and it's Christianity, and it's the Holy Spirit. And we have enough Christians who have stood up to say, "You're not going to do this here."
Right.
And we have the power of God behind us, and we are going to show the world that when you have the power, you can only take on this kind of evil with the power of God and the blood of Jesus, because what happens is you have seen people come forward that may not have been able to come forward unless they were filled with the anointing and the power of God. In 1776, you wouldn't have had that with an atheist nation, or you would have not have had the revolution without Christianity, without people getting on their knees and saying, God, what do you really want me to do? And we are on our knees, and God is like telling us, no, you need to fight this, and you're going to win, because God does not ask you. I'm going to tell you this right now. The Holy Spirit does not lean into people and move on people and say, fight a battle, unless God says it's going to be done and we're going to win. Open up your Bible and go and find me a place where God says, go and fight this battle. I'm going to anoint you to do it, and people lose. It never has happened in the history of the world. It will never happen again, because it doesn't happen. Because when God calls you to fight something and God calls you to put your feet on the ground, then you can't be moved. Now, some people might fall by the wayside. That's what you see, but the war is always won when God says, go and fight.
That's good.
New ballots came in, and it was all new numbers being... of new ballots being brought into counting rooms. Maria, there's never been anything like this in history. And it all
I know,
started...
at very beginning, I had some ignorant friends. One person was a lawyer for the military. Ignorant, not stupid. Who said, dead people have always voted. These things kind of happen. No, you don't understand. We've never had an election like this.
Right.
We've never had mass mail-in voting. And actually, we could know election results on the day of the election because the mail-in ballots were such a small fraction. Yeah. They never really changed the provisional ballots, or it usually would equal out. And it wasn't just all liberals that voted absentee.
We had almost 50% increase in people voting by mail.
And here's the thing, the mainstream media scared the liberal people so that they could say, well, guys, liberal people were voting by mail. Okay. Right. But in previous years, just old people, Republican and Democrat, it was probably pretty even. Yeah. Did mail-in voting. My grandma did mail-in voting, absentee ballots. And you had to request it. You actually had to request the ballot. And this time they sent out postcards to everybody asking, hey, do you want to get a ballot? And that's open for fraud and things like that. And the military ballots have gone missing. They had military ballots being opened up saying that they were for Biden. Right. Military ballots don't go for Biden. Okay, they're not going to fight for Biden. What Maria Bartiromo was saying was that this is very serious, okay? And when she mentioned the military, you have to recognize that, and I want you to be excited about this. The military, if this were to happen to go sideways, they're going to follow. Here's the thing, the military and those boys, those boots on the ground, they're not fighting for Joe Biden. Right. They're going to say, what does Donald Trump tell us to do? And if Donald Trump says, get out of the military, Joe Biden wouldn't even have a military. Where soy boys aren't going to sign up. Right. Okay? So there's the good news for you, even if. Okay, a contingency plan. I want to read a couple
comments here. Brit Girl, I think she has her own channel, says that, please don't correct me on that if I'm wrong. She says, I was there yesterday. Santa is my friend and we went together.
Oh, awesome.
On the Santa thing. So that's really awesome. Barry wants to know, and I'll answer this question from the UK. Michelle, I have a question. What will America and Trumpers do if Biden is installed in the White House in January?
There's no if.
It's not going to happen.
There's nothing. There's no contingency plan.
Well, no, that's not even it. It's not going to happen. And I'll tell you what would happen if for some reason Biden does get quote unquote installed in January, which is not going to happen. This fight is so huge. It's all getting proved as we speak. So even if for some reason you're looking at a timeline issue, I think would be the only possibility where that would happen, but it would finish out. And in that case, the Trump supporters would continue. There's not going to be a change. They're not going to stop fighting. They're not going to go home. They would actually become emboldened and emblazoned, not to loot or do anything dangerous, but just we're talking rallies.
We're talking litigation. We're talking about lawsuits.
The courts. I mean, it would just blow up. It would just be insane.
And like I said, the military, the boys would leave the military.
Right.
So that we'd have no military. because liberals don't join the military.
Right. Brick Girl says yes, she does have her own channel.
So go subscribe.
Because I think I've been there before, but forgive me for not having it all right here.
With the mail-in.
We have.
But it also goes to Dominion. It goes to a lot of things. But the mail-in,
We should have had you
millions
on
and millions
our show,
of
talk
ballots
about the
being
lockdown
shipped
protest.
all over. And ballots, as you know, there were a lot of ballots where it was just Biden on top. They didn't do anything else because they were in a rush. And from what everybody is saying, and from what, I don't think we even have to prove this, they say that I was doing so much better than they thought that they panicked and they started just doing ballot after ballot very quickly and just checking the Biden name on top. They didn't have to. See, if all these ballots with just one name check, people don't vote that way. People don't vote that way. They want to vote against taxes, and they want to vote for judges, and they want to vote for a lot of other things that you have on a ballot, different races, including Congress. And they were just checked up top. Tremendous numbers of ballots like that. And that was done for the sake of speed. We have stories that are unbelievable, but we're not allowed to put in our proof. They say you don't have standing. I said I'd like to file to the lawyers. I would like to file one nice, big, beautiful lawsuit talking about this and many other things with tremendous proof. We have affidavits. We have hundreds and hundreds of affidavits, like the people that you saw the other day in Pennsylvania, willing to sign under penalty of perjury. You go to jail. Willing to sign, unlike Comey, who didn't go to jail for lying, by the way, and McCabe, who didn't go to jail for lying, which is an amazing thing to me. We might as well bring it up. But under perjury, you go to jail. We have hundreds, getting to be thousands. They're coming in all the time. And these are respected people. These are people that are putting their lives at risk. And they don't want to take the affidavits. Then they say we don't have proof. I wanted to file one suit, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, against, and put everything in a one simple suit. And they say, sir, you don't have standing. I say, I don't have standing. You mean as President of the United States, I don't have standing. What kind of a court system is this?
Right.
And the judges stay away from it. There is out there, Maria, because everyone knows you gave numbers. I had a number, 79%, it just came out. 79% of the Republicans think the election was a fraud. And I hear 35, 40% of the Democrats. But they're not going to put it down anyway because they're not going to say we think it. But I think most of them think it was a fraud. I watched you with Kelly. Look at the election. Look at the election you have coming up right now. You're using the same garbage machinery, Dominion, and she's going around Abrams. She's going around screaming that she's got 800 or 850,000 ballots. What kind of an election is it? She's going around collecting votes. What kind of an election is this? What kind of a country are we living in now where you can vote for months ahead of schedule? And then the other thing we have, and Justice Alito, highly respected, a great man, Justice Alito seems to have big problems, but the election ended and they gave people an extension to vote. That's never happened before. In other words, the election ended, but we'll give you more time if you want to vote. And what I understand is they didn't think it was good either, so they backdated all these ballots that came in. They had people, and we have affidavits on that too, they had people backdating ballots so that if somebody came in the 4th or 5th or 6th, which was illegal because the legislature didn't approve it, which everything has to be approved by the legislature, and they had judges making deals, and they had electoral officials making deals, like this character in Georgia who's a disaster, and the governor's done nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. I'm ashamed that I endorsed him. But I look at what's going on. It's so terrible. But what happened in this election, Maria, I can't imagine has ever happened before. They stuffed the ballot boxes. I've been hearing that expression for many years. You have too. Stuffed the ballot. They stuffed the ballot boxes. And they used COVID as a means to stuff the ballot boxes. Joe Biden did not get 16 million more votes than Barack Hussein Obama. He didn't get it. Joe Biden did not get 14 million more votes than Hillary Clinton. And by the way, he didn't beat Obama in the black communities. You go to some of these communities where Obama is very, very popular, and he beats him in some of these communities, but all throughout the rest of the United States, in a black community, he does he does actually poorly. He doesn't do very well. But he beats Obama in swing states. Now think of that. He beat Obama in swing states. You know that didn't happen. They stuffed the ballot box. Everybody knows that.
This is some of the impossible statistics that we have found, and this is from the Federalist article. They call it Biden magic, and they list a number of ways that Joe Biden magically outperformed election norms. They include 80 million votes, including a record Black and Hispanic turnout for you, President Trump, winning despite losing most bellwether counties. Typically, when you win the bellwether counties like you did, the president wins. Biden trailed Clinton, except in a select few cities. Biden won despite Democrat losses everywhere else. In the House, Kevin McCarthy is still celebrating wins in the House of Representatives. Biden also overcame your commanding primary vote. So there are certainly statistic impossibilities, and the Federalist calls it magic, as you refer to. Mr. President, will you be able to prove that the computers can circumvent the controls that are in place? A lot of people say, oh, no, we have controls in place. There are paper ballots. The computers cannot get through the controls that are in place. Can you do that? Yeah. And secondly, in terms of Pennsylvania, your team got a blow on Friday. The certification of Pennsylvania's election results. Your attorneys have said they will appeal to the Supreme Court. Give us your timing on that. Will you get a different outcome in the next couple of days? Will we be hearing a victory in Pennsylvania in the next couple of days?
Okay, well, let me just talk about the Federalist paper just for a second, because you mentioned it. There are 5 points, and it was written brilliantly but sarcastically, because they were saying he must be a great campaigner because he lost here, he lost here, he lost here, and he won the election. If a president, this is over a long, many period, hundreds of years, 100 years or something, they went into all of the elections. If you win one of the 5 points, I won all 5. If you win one of the 5 points, you become president. You automatically, sitting president gets reelected. I won all 5 and I still lost. There was only one reason for that. Fraud. Stuffing the ballot boxes. All of the things that they did. There's only one reason. And everybody knows it. And your numbers are much different. This country, I cannot believe it. There's more spirit. I see more spirit right now.
Love it.
This country cannot have fake elections like we have fake news.
No, we can't.
Like we have all
draw
of the
the
things
line
happening
here.
with big tech.
Right.
There's a tremendous move on to repeal Section 230. Big tech has no liability. They can do whatever they want. It's ridiculous. But there's a big move to do that. I don't know if the politicians have the guts to do it, but they're hurting themselves very badly. There are so many different things. We'll be appealing different cases. It's not only our case. Mike Kelly, great congressman, as you know, from Pennsylvania, has a great case. He won. Well, he had a good decision. Then he went a step above, and they turned him down. I think that was in Pennsylvania. I think he's got a great appeal to the United States Supreme Court. Act 77, where the legislature is supposed to approve all this stuff, and they had it approved by local officials or a judge. I think it's a great case, but I'm sure they'll be appealing too. They have a fantastic case. A lot of the cases that have been lost haven't been our cases. They're people that are aggrieved that went out and filed lawsuits because they saw things happening that they've never seen before. A poll watcher, I have a lot of respect for Ken Starr, and I watched him on your show, actually. And a poll watcher is like a sacred person in the world of politics. They call them partisan poll because they're like a Republican poll watcher, a Democrat poll watcher. They watch the votes being counted. It's so important. It is like the most important. Otherwise, people will cheat, unfortunately. So poll watchers are very important. Our poll watchers didn't just get set back, which they did. They got thrown out of buildings in different states. They were thrown out of, and this is a well-coordinated attack because you don't do it with everybody. Maybe it would happen in Philadelphia, but it wouldn't happen in Detroit. Now, Detroit and Philadelphia, Milwaukee, these are among the most dishonest political places in years. Just look at the past history. I'm not being rude to anybody. These are highly corrupt locations politically. But poll watchers were walked out by thugs out of the building. And you have it all over the news. We could give you everything you need. All you have to do is local news covers it actually much differently than national news. National news doesn't like covering anything that would be like that. They do not report the news. That's why I call them fake news. But they've never been fake like they are now. Now they're a disgrace. But the news is the enemy. Our newspapers, major newspapers, and major networks are truly the enemy of the people in this country. They're very dangerous, and big tech is making them even more dangerous. But they got rid of poll watchers.
I'm going to get back to big tech because this is a critical part of this story, Mr. President. But if you take out the contested swing states electoral votes, you're back down to President Trump having 232 electoral votes and Joe Biden having 227. That is if you strip out the 6 states with the legal challenges. So is the thinking here that because of the various ballot issues that the Supreme Court will rule that the vote is tainted, and that will mean that they have to take votes away from Biden and not certify? Is that the thinking? And secondly, what's your timing on this, Mr. President? Because we've got some notable election dates here that I want to ask you what you believe you consider to be your drop-dead date in terms of proving this case. Is it December 18th when the states finalize elector appointments, or when electors cast votes in each state? Is it the vice president receiving electoral votes? Is it the House and Senate counting? Okay, January 20th. How do you see it?
Well, I don't want to give you an actual date. A lot of people say the 18th, or they say the 14th, or they say January 20th. I'm not going to say a date, but I will say we have to move very fast. We have been moving fast.
Until we win.
Look,
that's
when you
the
say,
date.
Is it tainted? Everyone knows it's tainted. Everyone knows that the poll watchers were thrown out of buildings. Everyone knows
Until
that
Donald Trump
people were
get
not
4 more
allowed
years.
to vote when they walked in
That's your date.
so preciously, so
We don't
beautifully to
stop.
vote. A elderly woman, we have her deposition, was told, who longed to vote, looked forward to the day of November 3rd, was told when she got in there, I'm sorry you voted. And then they give her another ballot to sign, which they don't use because she already voted. That's how brazen they are. They'll actually vote people knowing that there's a good chance that those people will come in. And there were thousands of those people. And by the way, just to set the record straight, because a couple of these cases were dismissed because they didn't have enough votes, enough bad, tainted votes, so that you'd overturn the state. No. In all cases, we have many times, I don't even know where the judges would have gotten that information. We have thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of votes more than we need. In other words, if I lost a state by 9,000 votes, or if I lost Georgia by, let's say, 12,000 votes, we have tens of thousands more votes in there. We don't have it where we found 9 dead people, and therefore we want you to turn over the state and give us those electoral votes. In all cases, and yet one judge was saying, we didn't have the votes to turn it over, therefore it's meaningless. In other words, if you don't have the votes, I understand that. If you had far fewer votes than the amount. Now, in one way, you could also say it's so fraudulent when they're voting for dead people, and when dead people are signing applications, meaning they're not, meaning somebody else is fraudulently signing. I mean, in the name of a dead person, well, that tells you a lot. But we actually have thousands of votes, in some cases, hundreds of thousands of votes, more than we need in every swing state that we're talking about.
Mr. President, have you received from your Chief of Cyber Command any briefing on electronic interference from either internal or external influences? Have you received this briefing?
We're dealing with John Ratcliffe, who's fantastic. We're dealing with other people, and we don't always get, they've been there for a long time, Maria. It's a long story. It's a long story. We're disappointed that more people didn't get involved, because this is a fraud. This is a fraud against the American people. It's a fraud against the United States of America. And we're disappointed that some people don't get more involved. Like this character on 60 Minutes. They're putting him on. This guy, we had so many things. He's talking about how honest the election is. Well, how come there are thousands of dead people voting? How come there are all these other people voting that shouldn't be voting? How come we find thousands of votes? How come poll watchers, every vote that went through
he was
an
fired.
election area, what they call an accounting area, where our poll watchers were locked out of the building, outside, standing outside, or standing so far away that you couldn't see, where they literally went out and said for binoculars, you're supposed to be right next to that vote. Well, every one of them is a fraud. So how can he say, I mean, other than he's an anti-Trumper, how can this guy say that there was no fraud? 60 Minutes, by the way, never called us for comment. You know, they do a piece on somebody. They don't call us for comment. But when you don't have a poll watcher and thousands of votes are passing that area where you're supposed to have a poll watcher to see that everything's on the up and up, well, those are votes that count toward us. Those are thousands of votes. And they were done in many of the states, swing states that we're talking about.
Where is the DOJ and the FBI in all of this, Mr. President? You have laid out some serious charges here. Shouldn't this be something that the FBI is investigating? Are they?
Missing in
Is the
action.
DOJ investigating?
Missing in action. Can't tell you where they are. I ask, are they looking at it? Everyone says yes, they're looking at it. Look, where are they with Comey, McCabe, and all these other people? You know, I said I'll stay out of it. I wish I didn't make that statement. There's no reason really why I have to. But where are they with Comey, with McCabe, with Brennan, with all these people? They lied to Congress. They lied. They leaked. They spied in our campaign. I see Carter Page is bringing a lawsuit. That's good news. Where are they with all of this stuff? And, you know, what happened to Durham? Where's Durham? So, you know, you're asking me a question. These people have been there a long time. And I know FBI, and FBI is great at the levels that we talk about. But it's inconceivable. You would think if you're in the FBI or Department of Justice, this is the biggest thing you could be looking at. Where are they? I've not seen anything. I mean, they just keep moving along, and they go on to the next president. They've been there for a long time. People don't understand this. They've been there for a long time. Some of them have served a lot of different presidents, and they have their own views. All I can say is I haven't heard, with all of the fraud that's taken place, nobody's come to me and said, oh, the FBI's nabbed, you know, the people that are doing this scheme. The FBI is looking at Dominion, which nobody even knows where they're based, which nobody even knows where the votes are counted. You know, the votes in Dominion, they say,
actually, they know where they're based. They know who they are.
Okay?
They're in
Can you
on
believe
it.
this? Now, Dominion is also based in a number of foreign countries. One of them is Canada. And Canada refuses to use Dominion, and they're based there. They won't get anywhere near. Texas will not get anywhere near Dominion. I spoke with the Attorney General. I spoke with a lot of different people. Texas, you should see the reports that Texas wrote on Dominion. They wouldn't use them. They wouldn't, under any circumstance, they wouldn't use them. So, you know, they, as you probably have heard, but Canada does paper votes. And the only way this is going to be safe is paper votes. Even the mailmen, look, the mailmen are carrying thousands of ballots back and forth, back and forth. There are many mailmen that are in big trouble right now for selling ballots, getting rid of ballots. This is the craziest thing you've ever seen. But many ballots with the name Trump on were thrown out. You've read that. They found ballots in a river with the name Trump on from the military. They were signed, and they were floating in a river. They found ballots under rocks that had the name Trump on. They were signed. They were signed with Trump. We won the election easily. There's no way Joe Biden got 80 million votes. I just said there's no way Joe Biden beat Barack Obama in the black communities of various cities, and then he did very badly compared to Obama in other cities throughout the United States. There's no way it happened. This election was a fraud. It was a rigged election.
This is disgusting, and we cannot allow America's election to be corrupted. We cannot. So you believe you can prove that the computers can circumvent any controls that are in place. And before we leave the subject of Durham, I feel like something happened in September. I don't know what happened, but we were all expecting Durham to come out and AG Barr to be aggressive. He told me back in June that mail-in ballots opened the floodgates of fraud. Why wasn't anything done about it? Why weren't there surveillance cameras to shoot what we know now to be trucks backing up ballots, for example, in Michigan? And finally, this question, will you appoint a special counsel to investigate and to continue the investigating into what took place in the 2016 election? You mentioned Jim Comey and Andrew McCabe not facing accountability. Will you appoint a special counsel?
By the way, Comey and McCabe, that's the least of it. You talk about the Logan Act. They used the Logan Act on General Flynn, who I was very proud to pardon. But they wanted to use, and they did use the Logan Act on General Flynn. And you know where that started. Look, this whole thing is a terrible situation.
Unfortunately, these videos from Fox News never give you the end.
But he said he would look into, and I just want to get you guys excited because you saw Maria at the very end.
Get fired up.
Okay. She was trying to be a reporter. She did a really good job being a reporter.
Right.
You couldn't tell which way she was going. But at the end, she knows the voting machine system. Lou Dobbs in 2006 did an expose for CNN on Dominion on the voting systems. Okay. Right. Maria knows what CityPal has. She knows what, if you have to read CityPal's what she dropped in her
she's 104 page.
She's got several experts who are saying, I believe in my expert opinion that what I've seen from all these things, that yes, votes had to have been flipped from Trump to Biden.
Not only that though, she also has, and the Trump team has Democrats who are willing to turn states' evidence that they participated in this for immunity.
Yeah.
Okay? So guys, I get that people on the left or even weak people on the right that don't do any research have no idea the evidence. This is what we do. We research day and night and we get down to the bottom. The evidence is so overwhelming. In order to believe that Joe Biden would be installed as president in January, you would have to believe that you'd have to believe that God does not exist. But B, you would have to believe that every single politician and judge in this country was corrupt. Every single last one of them. And we are not seeing that at all. We are seeing these patriots rise up in mass. What's going on in Pennsylvania with their state legislature, okay? It's huge. This evidence, you mark my words, anybody can come to me, a year down the road, okay, if I'm wrong on this, all right? I'm not. Joe Biden is going to have to concede there is far too much evidence. And if you believe that Joe Biden will be president, you don't know the evidence. You haven't been doing the research.
This is what I had read. I conclude with high confidence that the election 2020 data were altered in all battleground states. U.S. intelligence expert with PhD in computer sciences, management, and DIA, CIA, FBI, NSA, DHS shreds claims the 2020 election was free and fair. And that you can find on my Twitter. I have tweeted that out. Rise up, judge of the earth, pay back retribution to the proud. How long, O Lord, how long shall the wicked triumph? They pour out their words, they speak arrogantly. All who do injustice boast. They crush your people, Lord, and afflict your inheritance. Psalm 94. And I said, this is not the time to save face or preserve your reputation. Donald Trump won this election by this globalist team, tried to steal it. We have seen who these people are. They tried to set up Flynn and Trump. They pulled every dirty trick in the book using our very own government systems and the FBI, the DOJ, and the CIA, along with an eagerly zealous media and big tech. We have been lied to and ramrodded for 4 years, censored, demonetized, harassed, and doxxed. Some have lost their lives and their livelihoods. There is no backing down. We win or we win.
No, that's
One
really good.
outcome. President Trump is president for 4 more years. God is on our side. We cannot
And
lose.
that's really, really important, because if the Bible tells us, if God be for you, no man can stand against you. When you are on the side of right, everybody in this country knows that Biden only quote unquote won, which he hasn't won yet, from fraud and cheating. Anybody that thinks he's going to become president is okay with that, right? We aren't okay with it. God Almighty is not okay with it. Try to read these with like you're speaking them. Not
We
like
will
you're reading
win.
them.
If God be for us, who can be against us? This is God's battle to fight. We are blessed to be used by him in any way we can. Keep your spirits high, patriots. With God, all things are possible. He brought us to this place to expose the dark evil lurking in our government and intelligence agencies. No more. Clean sweep now by the blood of Jesus. We are a Christian nation, not a communist country. One nation under God, liberty and justice for all. So much is happening right now, it's hard to keep up with. Sidney Powell's lawsuits in Georgia and Michigan. The legislators in PA, Arizona, and Michigan are holding hearings. Trump's team going to the Supreme Court soon. Many lawsuits. One thing is for sure. The globalists thought that what they could do in America, what they do in other countries. They thought they could rig an election. They might have gotten away with it, but for 2 things. They awoke the sleeping giant going after Trump and Flynn these past 4 years, and the church is awake and ready to fight this thing. The elite didn't count on an army of angels and God himself. I look around at the team that he has assembled, and I'm proud to fight with you.
Amen. Amen.
And here is a little clip for your viewing pleasure. There is an airline out of Australia that has decided they will only allow people to fly if they're vaccinated, so he got pie in the face.
Yeah. To announce the
Emerging from backstage, a man in a suit who grabbed Mr. Joyce and smashed a pie into his face.
I don't know what that was about. Excuse me, I might take a break for a second, guys, and just clean up a little bit, and I'll come back.
Alan, when there is a vaccine, are you going to require all of your passengers to be vaccinated before they get on a plane?
Yeah, we are looking at changing our terms and conditions to say for international travellers that we will ask people to have a vaccination before they can get on the aircraft. Whether we need that domestically, we'll have to see.
I don't know what the music is, but that's really good. That's
Okay.
really good.
And to end this up.
Now, usually when people get pies in the face, a lot of times it's just a big thing of whipped cream. It's not, it's harmless.
Okay, so Patriot Riley shared this with me. I think this is very significant because God moves in the sky. When the sun sets on December 21st, people will see the planets closer than anyone alive has ever seen them. Jupiter and Saturn to line up as a double planet for the first time since the Middle Ages.
And there's an ad.
And as the ad plays,
skip ad.
Thank you, skipping ad.
All right, Jupiter and Saturn are about to line up in a way not seen since the Middle Ages. When the sun sets on the 21st of December, people will see the planets closer than anyone alive has ever seen them. It will be the first time that such sights have been seen for 800 years. The 2 planets should be visible to anyone on Earth as long as the weather allows an unrestricted view. Very good.
So just to let you know, you can go out and see Jupiter and Saturn. I have been looking at them all
They'll
summer
be getting
long.
closer, I think, starting on the 16th.
They're in the south of sky from where we are at.
And is this just, and this is probably a stupid question, is this just an American thing? Like
No, anywhere all over the world.
Okay.
You'll be able to see this. The alignments between, but they've been getting closer and closer together. It's called conjunction. Alignments between these 2 planets are rather rare, occurring every 20 years or so. But this conjunction is especially rare because how close these planets will appear to one another. You'd have to go way back to March 4th, 1226 to see a closer alignment between these objects. The approach of Jupiter and Saturn has been going on all summer, and as it reaches its peak between December 16th and Christmas Day, they will be separated by less than the width of a full moon. On the evening of the closest approach on December 21st, they will look like a double planet, separated by only 1/5 the diameter of the full moon. For most telescope viewers, each planet and several of their largest moons will be visible in the same field of view that evening. The two planets should be visible to anyone on Earth. The best visibility will become an hour after sunset, when the planets will appear low in the western sky and will look better near the equator. So I've been looking at them, so I guess they're going towards the west. That's actually going that way for me. For anyone who misses the astronomical pairing, there will be another chance to see it in 2080. And then not until 2400. So God moves. He speaks to us in the sky, and Jupiter is the king planet. I believe that we're seeing this conjunction happening right now. You have Jesus the King coming in conjunction, and I think that that something significant is obviously going to be happening starting in that period of time,
right
around Christmas time. We had the Bethlehem Star. If you guys haven't seen the what's it called, the Bethlehem Star movie? Yeah. Watch that, because you can see going back, they have astronomical equipment and computers to see the star that the Magi would have followed to the toddler Jesus, but they would have started following it and looking for it when Jesus was born.
Right.
And it has to do with Jupiter and the alignment and another conjunction, and it's so powerful.
And they can track it, and the punchline of the movie is that it landed right over top of Bethlehem. On the 25th of December.
And it did a retrograde. So then it comes back.
Right.
And it's in the constellation of Virgo the Virgin and Leo the Lion. And God moves because he talks about Orion. He talks about Pleiades. God does speak to us in the stars. And I want you to look for that in the sky.
We don't do astrology, but God invented astronomy and did so to tell stories in the sky. The Bible is very, very, very clear about that.
What do you want to sing?
Let's sing a song, but first, I hate to feed trolls, and I know, but sometimes I can't help myself.
Feed the trolls or starve the trolls?
It's too fun. I know. So here we go. The first purge says, what will these ladies do after January 20th? He was your guy. Poll watchers are more important than voters and votes. Actually, you may not understand that the poll watchers are there to ensure the integrity of the vote of the voters. And if you don't get that, I don't really know why I'm talking to you, but in case anybody else has some questions here. Skeeter says, show real credible evidence. The judges keep kicking them out. So maybe you could name for me, and you must know better than I do. You must have your own channel and do all this research 24/7 too. One judge that has looked at the evidence presented by Trump's lawyers who has kicked it out. I'll wait. I'll keep an eye on the chat. If you can name one judge that has kicked out any case presented by the Trump lawyers who actually looked at the evidence. We do have one judge in Pennsylvania that said, I refuse to look at your evidence. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, we don't have any judges that have looked at the evidence that have kicked anything down.
So before you open your little foul mouth again, go watch the hearing from Pennsylvania and Wednesday, where you can see all the evidence and all the affidavits.
If you watch that entire hearing from Pennsylvania and then come back and say, show me your evidence, I'm going to laugh you out the room.
And then what you get to do, you can turn in your dial to the hearing in Arizona tomorrow, and then turn in your dial to the hearing in Michigan.
Right.
You're going to see some evidence that's going to blow your mind. You should be watching our show.
Skeeter says, thousands of phones with cameras and not one picture or video of actual fraudulent act. No, we actually do. First of all,
wait,
let me finish my thing. First of all, they were not allowed to use their cell phones, or they were thrown out and then everyone cheered. So that's number one. Okay. Number two is we actually do have pictures and video footage of people, and it's going to be presented in court.
You got to watch our show a little bit more.
I
don't have time to present my case to you because there's literally thousands of things to show you.
We go live and do like 2 or 3 hour shows every day. So your homework, Skeeter, love that name, Skeeter, cute little Skeeter. Your homework is to go and watch all of our shows and the Pennsylvania hearing, and then come back and say
if you're so bored on a Sunday afternoon that you have to go troll a channel, you have a job to do. You have some work to do, because you need to go inform your liberal friends
what's coming down the line.
So they don't freak out. Okay.
No, this is no. That's a serious, and I get serious when we talk about this, because they have the mainstream media and whoever you are listening to have lied to you Oh, and I'm legit honest. There are mountains, and I mean mountains of evidence. I have seen it myself. Okay, mountains of evidence. Joe Biden will have to concede, and I am all the people that did the Hillary tears. People had to go into counseling after Trump won in 2016. After they think that their guy Joe Biden won, and then they find out it was all fraud, it was all a sham, and they're getting 4 more years of Cheeto Man that they hate.
I know.
People could commit suicide, and I care about them. I don't care if they voted for Biden.
Okay,
I legit care.
we gotta get going.
Okay, so there you go. I didn't mean to feed the trolls, but sometimes, guys, it's important. These people are worried
And
about
feel
their
bad
mental
for them
sanity.
because they have nothing better to do on a Sunday afternoon, and they don't have it. Obviously, there's a lot of information out there, and they choose not to look at it. So I'm sorry.
It's called cognitive
dissonance. Okay. I thought I was saying it came upon midnight here.
Oh, that's good. You want to start whatever key you want. All right, we're going to sing a song. We're going to sing Christmas songs.
carols until Christmas because we are celebrating Christmas.
Yes.
It came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven, O gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lowly plains they bend on hovering wing, and over o'er its babel sounds the blessed angels sing.
You want to sing the other verses?
And which one? That one?
All right.
For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophets seen of old, when with the ever-circling years shall come the time foretold, when peace shall over all the earth in ancient splendors fling, and the whole world send back the song which now the angels sing.
We don't sing that song very much.
Nope.
That's good. Let's go with Oh Holy Night next.
Oh, really? Okay.
Why not? You don't like it?
I thought we were going to be done, but that's okay.
Oh, dude, there's so many Christmas carols and we only...
Okay. It's just getting late. We got to get outside. That's all.
What are we doing outside?
It's a beautiful day. We got to get outside. I got to get outside.
Okay.
Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining, till he appears and the soul felt its worth. A thrill of hope, the weary world rejoices, for yonder breaks a new and glorious morn. Fall on your knees, oh, hear the angel voices, oh, night divine, oh, night when Christ was born, oh, night divine.
good.
Truly he taught us to love one another. His law is love and his gospel is peace. Come on, y'all. Chains shall he break, for the slave he is our brother, and in his name all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we, let all within us praise his holy name. Christ is the Lord. Oh, praise his name forever. His power and glory evermore proclaim. His power and glory evermore proclaim. Yay.
So Barry, you sent me in the chat on my Facebook. It looks like Nigel stopping at the tragedy. I think the boat was going to sink or something like that. I don't have time to play it right now. We're going to have to go. But perhaps next week you can remind me. So thank you guys for being here. Please keep coming back to Resistance Chicks. It's
Find
really,
us
really
here.
important.
Resistance Chicks. Find us everywhere. Resistance Chicks on Facebook. Resistance Chicks on Periscope and Twitter and Parler and Bitchute.
And resistancechicks.com, which is really important because if everything goes
everything
down,
goes
that's
poop,
where you can find
we
us.
pay for that, baby.
Yeah.
We got a P.O.
All right.
Box 107.
Oh, I was going to do a mail call today.
Oh, we'll just do maybe later on tonight or something. We'll just do a special
tomorrow.
mail call.
All right.
We'll do a special
but
mail
I
call.
just wanted Barry to be here because his package is here. We're waiting to do the package when Barry can be here to open it. So perhaps tomorrow, hopefully we'll do a show at a reasonable time.
Eek. Tomorrow is going to be the Arizona hearings.
Okay. We're going to get to it unless it's really important.
We're going to get to it, baby.
All right. We love you guys. God loves you. God bless. Remember, it's not just a conspiracy theory.
If it's the truth.
It's the truth. As always, have a wonderful rest of your week. This week is going to be amazing. We will be here probably every single day this week bringing you stuff right here on Resistance.
Get your popcorn
Chicks
out,
channel.
baby. It's going to be good.
All right. Oh, and if you leave comments on our Masfaith3 channel, do me a favor. If you want to help out, you don't have to donate or anything like that. Just let people know, hey guys, they're not here right now. It's 2 weeks. Time out. If you're reading these comments, that would be really helpful. I would appreciate that. Yeah, 2 weeks. Well, we're like, what, 2 days down, 1 day down?
Yeah, until they find another video that permanently
and then
bans
the whole
our channel.
channel's just like, cut. Yeah. God knows. All right, you guys. We'll see you later. God bless.
I was cold all alone. No place for